Welcome to a Trucker's Mind podcast. I'm Eddie McGee.
It's your boy K Fings.
We're back, man. Episode 211.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get right in.
211, okay.
Yeah, man.
To get drunk over here, huh?
Oh God, that 211 is considered a malt liquor, I think, right?
Yeah,
That 211 is for people that just got out of doing 5 years in prison or something.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's cheap. That's pretty much the requirements of like niggas that want to drink it.
If they did a commercial, it'd only be a few words. Do you hate yourself? Drink 211. Life got you down? Drink 211. Do you just don't give a fuck anymore? Try 211.
Are you an ex-con and broke? Try 211.
Are you 9 years behind on child support? I don't even think that's possible. You know what's weird about child support? And I'll say this real quick before we get into it. Is if you don't pay child support past a certain time, they will take your license away. Right? They will take people's license away and you can go to jail. So here's the question. How the fuck is this person supposed to pay child support now if they lost their license or go to jail?
But I think, I don't know. It's kind of backwards, but
yeah.
I mean, you gotta. It's a lot of people that got like, a lot of what you call it, like grown kids that they haven't fully paid the child support for. So you got to. I mean, you got to do something.
You got to take care of your kids first and foremost. But goddamn, I think that's fucking stupid. How are they supposed to provide a lifestyle for themselves or pay it when they don't have a car or a license or they go to jail? But
What should they do?
Stop fucking.
No, I'm talking about what should the government do if they're not?
There's got to be something else they got to do. I think they shouldn't go past like garnishments.
Yeah, some people would be like not getting jobs and stuff though.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, we don't have kids, so fuck them.
Not
Anyways,
yet.
not yet. Why you do Mr. Burns' hands? Excellent. I'm not ever pulling out again. All right, let's get right into it. Last week we spoke about Will Smith and Chris Rock right when it happened. We never got a lot of time to really process what was going on because literally it happened 5 minutes before we recorded the last podcast. So we were reacting in real time. If you caught us basically speaking about, we didn't even when Will won the award, we got it in real time. Mm-hmm. But this is like a week after this shit went on. There's been some developments in the story. What I could say now is Will Smith's speech was pretty disingenuous. Only because like there was no apology to Chris Rock. And I feel like he also leveraged the situation because I mentioned this in real time, but I feel like he leveraged the situation using Richard Williams and saying he was a fierce protector. And it's like, dude, I don't think. And then Richard Williams made a statement later, but he didn't make it like in response to Will Smith. But he said, "We don't tolerate hitting of anyone." That's what Richard Williams said. Yeah. End quote. So it's like, dude. You cried, you got up there, you did that, but it was pretty disingenuous how you did not apologize to the motherfucker you assaulted. You apologized to the Academy and all of this, and then you didn't even apologize to the person you hit in the face and humiliated. And all of us now, like everybody was talking about, you even mentioned, you were the first one I heard mention Will Smith's trauma, according to him feeling like a coward and stuff in his book. Right? Out of everyone I heard that made that reference, Keith was first, bro. Charlamagne made it, but he made it the next day.
Copying your boy.
Everybody was making the same point as Keith, but Keith was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We spoke about his trauma, right? But nobody's talking about Chris Rock's trauma. Chris Rock was bullied heavily as a kid. Yeah. And to be publicly like humiliated or accosted, I don't think I'm using the right diction, but to be humiliated like that, and slapped in the face. Imagine how that made him feel. Yeah. You know, they showed him when he was given, I think he was given an award to Questlove, and he had this really fucked up look on his face. Like, you seen that?
Distraught.
He was like distraught. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, no one noticed how fucked up Chris Rock looked in that moment? Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think as far as the speech goes, I think that, I don't know if, for me, it is disingenuous. I think that it was like misplaced or like a misunderstanding. I think sometimes we could look at, you know how when you're in church or something, like the preacher is essentially interpreting a story. So he could look at the story of like a David and Goliath, and somebody can interpret it as like against all odds or something like that, and somebody else can interpret that story as like being fearless or something like that. That's kind of like just kind of the nature of like how preachers can see the same scripture and then interpret it however many different ways. I think what Will Smith did was just like he probably during the course of the filming of that movie, he just kind of like embodied Richard Williams in a sense, and he's interpreting Richard Williams' actions through his own lens. So he may think that is, some people say he might have even still been in character, but he may think that is something that, and I think he genuinely believes that. I think he genuinely believes that that's something that Richard Williams would do in given the scenario. But hearing it from Richard Williams, we know that that's not the case.
No,
you know what I mean? So I think he just kind of like misinterpreted that essentially the whole movie. You know what I mean? The whole movie is just about, I guess it is about protecting black women and stuff like that. But I don't even know if sometimes we do things that can be looked at a certain way, and we're like so laser focused that it has nothing to do with all the outside noise, right? So Richard Williams may not have even really been focused on race at all. You know what I mean? He may be focused on his two daughters and making them the best tennis players in the world. You know what I mean? And then like we could kind of create these narratives around it. And I think that's like partly what happened, because it's like the reason I hate it too is, like you said, he used the biggest moment and the biggest platform that kind of happens at the Oscars, right? The best actor. That's like the award given at the end of the night. You get a little bit of extra time to give your speech and stuff like that. And he gave this whole like metaphor for all these things, and it was like complete total nonsense. Like we said, there's no apology in it at all. The one person that he disrespected, he didn't even mention. He almost justified slapping him. That's through some like twisted storyline connecting it to
That's
Richard
why I said it
Williams
was disingenuous.
Yeah. But I don't think to me it's not disingenuous. To me it's just like, I don't know if maybe they're synonyms, but it's almost like fake in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. If you have, how do I say this? If you have, the scent, the distinct scent of a flower, right? But then you cover it in shit. What do you smell? Shit. So that's basically what Will Smith's speech was, right? It may not be the perfect analogy, but his speech was supposed to be the flower. But since you covered it in shit, it's still shit. I'm looking at the prequel. So here's the difference. The prequel to that speech was the biggest problem because he was posturing. He did the most anti-masculine thing you could do. He reacted off impulse instead of actually seeing the situation and breathing and contacting him after the show. And I mentioned that when we went in live right after it happened. That's what he should have done. And I still am standing on that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I call it disingenuous is because of the wording that he used. He was a fierce protector, using that word, and I got to protect so-and-so, and it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, get out of this acting bullshit, because Jesse Smollett was doing the same shit. Even though you lied and you had two Africans helping your ass out, you still are in court with these alligator tears and acting. Like, some people are such good actors, but you can never be a good enough actor when you do something that's wrong and you can't act your way out of it anymore, Will Smith. Okay? We all fucking seen what happened. And ultimately, there was an apology to Chris Rock, but it was done through a statement, like almost a PR person. It sounded like kind of like somebody wrote it down, maybe a lawyer or whoever, right? But it did not come from his mouth. And what did I say when we were live? I said that when you do something like that and you publicly humiliate somebody and you slap them, you need to concurrently make that apology, because you are fucking Will Smith. Now everybody gets to run with the narrative. What have they done all week? Everybody's running with the narrative. You know what I'm saying? And it's because Will Smith didn't do what he needed to do. And now here we are. Do I still love Will Smith? Of course. I think we're all human. I think we all have human moments. I think we've all reacted off impulse. But bro, you a 50-some-year-old man. Like, by this time, you should have enough emotional intelligence not to do something this fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and look, we all have real feelings. We have feelings of anger, moments of jealousy, moments of all of these moments. They're all real feelings. But that's wild, bro.
Yeah. I know for me, like you said, I'm a fan of both Chris Rock and
Same here.
Will Smith. And, you know, I think they're both, you know, two of the top guys in their respective lanes. Obviously, Chris Rock is an actor too, but he's more so, I think he would more so consider himself a comedian. But it's like when seeing I wouldn't say I was like addicted to this conversation, but I was definitely scrolling through Twitter and having like emotional responses to like seeing some of the narratives and, you know, seeing certain tweets that went out, seeing, you know, certain information and sometimes misinformation, seeing, you know, people justifying what Will Smith did and seeing the conversations about black women's hair, seeing all of these things. And, you know, one of the things that annoy me the most is just this idea of just a lack of empathy, I think, for Chris Rock as a person. And it's not because Chris Rock really did anything wrong. It's primarily because, and it's split down the middle, so I'm not going to act like it was just everybody's on Will Smith's side. But the people that I've seen on Will Smith's side, these are people that are like have a genuine love and affinity for Will Smith.
Right. Like,
you know, these are oftentimes women that are attracted to him and sexually attracted to him. There's a lot like Will Smith is like an icon. He's a sex symbol. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit older and he still has he still looks good for his age and stuff like that. So a lot of, you know, people Eddie's age, my age, they're looking at him not only from this, you know, Men in Black and I Am Legend and all these movies, Fresh Prince, but also from a sexually attractive standpoint. So that kind of like evens the playing field in a sense to where like he can almost do no wrong.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then you start at that point. You start at Will Smith being a superstar. And then you bring it down to where you can put things in place to sort of justify as to why he was right in that moment. Like, oh, okay, Will Smith is a superstar celebrity that I love. Also, he's protecting his wife. Also, you know, don't talk about black women's hair. And it's funny that, you know,
confirmation bias.
Yeah. It's funny that we say like we shouldn't talk about black women's hair, but Jada Pinkett ain't got no hair.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
There's no conversation.
No hair, no conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I'm joking, but but that's one of the things that bother me. And I had a conversation with some people about the situation, and some people that I disagree with, and I was basically saying like, and for me now, like over the past year and some change through like relationships and through therapy and through, you know, just talking to people and, you know, getting a little bit older, I am learning about empathy, right? And I am learning when there is real empathy in the world, when there's real empathy, like in personal conversations in my personal life, when I am exhibiting empathy and when I'm not. And I'm still a work in progress on that part, but also like I can recognize it when I don't see people
100%
exhibiting it. Right. So, you know, in certain conversations, I would hear people talking about Chris Rock. And it's just like, well, you know, some people deserve to get slapped or some people this. And I'm like, crazy. I know that you don't have any empathy, like, because it doesn't go, it's not a one-sided street.
100%.
You can't have empathy for Jada Pinkett, which, you know, you very well can. But, you know, you also don't have empathy for Chris Rock because this man who was much smaller than Will Smith just got slapped in the face on national television. And you are saying that he deserved it. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
And it's just that's one of the things that bothers me.
But I think that we have a problem with this in everything. I think it bleeds into politics and everything. Where there's liberal and conservatives, where a liberal could see Joe Biden do something that's completely fucked up and not say anything about it, but you complain about that same thing when Trump was in office, and vice versa. There's a lack of objectivity when it comes to people who are liberal and conservative, and they do this shit all the time.
Yeah.
And it's very annoying, and it's just based on the fact that when their guy is in office, he can't do anything wrong, right? And it's the same difference with this shit with Will Smith. I'm not infatuated with anyone. I enjoy people. I'm a fan of people, but I have an objective stance. I felt what Will Smith did was very cowardice. You know, the fact that you run up on Chris Rock, who's soaking wet, 140 fucking pounds, and you over 6'2", and you slap him because you think that you need to display this false masculinity out in public. That's not masculine at all. And when you followed up that bullshit action by being a punk and not fucking apologizing up on there, that made it worse. This is gonna lead to my next point, fellas. This is for men and women, but in this case, more men. Stop doing too much for too little. For example, back when the whole entanglement shit was going on, and she basically used words like entanglement to soften the blow that she was fucking a 22-year-old R&B singer, right? And Will Smith cried, and he got turned into a fucking meme. She didn't even use her words to protect her husband. Yet this dude is physically assaulting someone for his wife. I don't know what women need to hear this, but men need to be protected too. And the best way to protect us is not make us look stupid for loving you. Okay? And in that moment, she never fucking protected Will Smith. It's sad how you can take this monumental man and you reduce him down to a fucking internet meme. That is embarrassing.
Yeah, he had like 6 summers in a row with the biggest blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he got reduced to a meme.
A meme where his tears have become a joke. Think about that.
Yeah.
His tears and emotions became a joke, but we supposed to care that she got alopecia? Not to mention alopecia ain't a big deal. You know how many men have male pattern baldness every year? You know how many women make fun of men for being bald? You know how many women say, I got hat-fished? I thought he was cute, but he took his hat off and he was bald. You know how many women crack jokes on men for this shit?
Yeah.
But, man, don't make fun of my alopecia. Fuck your alopecia. Just because you insecure, I started losing my hair at 25. Who gives a fuck? My hairline's back here. Okay? My thing is I have respect for people's situations, but at the same time, people's like, he should have not made fun of her. She got a disease. Do you not know what the fuck alopecia is? Have you not opened up a book or Google in your life? There's so many people that said she has a serious condition. Bro.
It's just they only say that because there's different versions of alopecia, right?
Right.
There's some that is just like age induced, I guess, and then there's some that is an attack on your own hair follicles and stuff.
What is that
like
called?
That.
Autoimmune.
Yeah, autoimmune disease.
Almost like was it vitiligo, what's it called?
I don't know. We're not gonna get into that.
Yeah, it's the skin condition.
Oh, vitiligo.
Vitiligo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's considered that too as well.
Yeah. But it's and then there's also, sometimes it's stress induced. You know what I mean? I've seen it in certain, especially women dealing with sorry ass niggas.
My homie had it.
Yeah, or niggas dealing with sorry ass women. They be having like patches of hair falling out and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I think what happened over the course of this week is people were, because it's so rare in women, most women, they keep their hair through the duration of their life. They're not even like in tune. You know what I mean? It's almost like, if I could compare it to like, I don't know, when like there's something, I guess I don't even want to make an analogy for it. But yeah, I just think that women are so unfamiliar with hair loss that they are treating this like it's this crazy thing. And some women deal with it. Most women, it doesn't happen on the crown of their hair, so they're able to like protect it. I know women that have like on their sideburns, like a lot of their hair, their hair is, is maybe like a bald spot or, like you said, thinning out. But that's the thing. It's just like we are making this idea of alopecia as to like, or relating it to like this, like it's cancer.
Yeah,
like it's,
stop that.
HIV or something.
Open
like
up a fucking book for once, man.
Yeah.
I hate it when people just run with a narrative because other people are putting it out and they're like, oh my God, she real sick. Y'all shouldn't be making it. How is she sick, dude?
Yeah, she's not dying.
Here's the funniest part about it. She is fucking beautiful.
She do look good.
She looks amazing.
She's looked good with short hair
for
since
many
the 90s.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a nice head. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. She got a nice round head.
Yeah.
And it's not like misshapen. She looks amazing bald. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people in the world can't pull off a bald head?
That's a lot. I can't do it.
Oh, no, here's the funny one, Keith. Here's the kicker. Here it goes. How many times have we seen people on the internet making fun of LeBron James' hair, thin as fuck, but we're supposed to have empathy for Jada Pinkett? So this is where this whole idea of equality falls flat. Mm-hmm. I feel like when it comes to certain equitable things, I believe in equality. But when people or women say that they want equality across the board, you do not want to be equal to us, because the way that we get, like, the way people bust our balls with jokes and cracking jokes on us, women cannot handle that. They are not built to handle that amount of scrutiny and being made fun of. Have you ever been walking or just seen some friends talking and like one of their homies walk up and they're like, hey, what's up, you fat fuck? Mm-hmm. And then everybody starts laughing, and even the dude that the joke is on, he's like, ha ha, fuck you, fool, you're stupid.
Yeah.
That's how men bust each other's balls. You can't talk to no woman like that, dog. Mm-hmm. Women are not built to take that. They will, and even if they smirk, they're going to be crying like a motherfucker later on.
Yeah.
They just not built for that. Mm-hmm. And I think that when we basically run narratives into the ground about protecting women, I believe we should protect women. I feel like women deserve to be protected. But we also need to understand that men need to be protected too, in regards to that conversation we had earlier.
Yeah.
With, Will Smith and then August Alsina and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's just a multi-layered conversation to have.
I think one thing that I see is that, like, just with that whole bringing it back to that the red table talk, like, I think because men are supposed, like, if that is the idea, men are supposed to be able to physically protect their women from harm. I think a lot of men only ask that their women, kind of create a safe space or protect their emotions.
Right.
And I think, like, when you see Will Smith crying, and we don't know all the ins and outs of that situation, but when you see him up there crying, he's having a very emotional experience. And when I guess Jada Pinkett or something dealing with her is at the center of a lot of this drama. Yeah. Like, I feel like that says something, that there isn't really a safe space to get those emotions out.
Yeah, and it's lopsided. The fact that you won't even protect me with words, but I protect you physically, that's a lopsided relationship.
Yeah.
That's not okay, man. And here's another thing too that women need to really understand when it comes to men. I feel like in any moment, if I really trust a woman and I care about her and I'm vulnerable to her, do not take that responsibility for granted. Like, if I'm crying or I'm stressed out or something's going on and I trust you enough to do something like that to you or in front of you, don't you dare turn around and make me feel bad for doing that, or you just dismiss it. That's what men need to realize. If a woman dismisses a moment like that, I'm not an overly emotional person, right? I have emotions, but I'm not emotional, if that makes sense. So if I display my emotions or I'm emotional about something in a moment and my wife or girlfriend kind of dismisses it, we might as well break up right there.
Yeah.
We might as, because you're not mature enough for me to even fuck with you.
Yeah.
We just got to just break it off.
I think it deserves a conversation. Like, you could say, like, hey, earlier when I came to you about X, Y, and Z, like, when you said this, that was very dismissive to me. And because a lot of times, like, at least from my experience, I think it just, I think you got to give somebody an opportunity, because we do the same thing. You know what I mean? As men, sometimes in relationships, we can be be dismissive about things, and so it's a learning process when you're managing, someone's emotions in a relationship, or even in a not even in a romantic sense, like in family dynamics and stuff.
I agree and disagree. I disagree from the fact that some people need to be equipped with empathy. If you're not equipped with empathy and I'm displaying a emotion that is very black and white, I'm hurting or crying over a serious moment in my life, and I display that emotion to you and you dismiss that, let's just break up.
Yeah.
Because you must be a fucking sociopath at that point. If you can't see that I'm battling with something and you just watch me go through it, there's no conversation after that. You got to go. You cannot be my wife if you're doing that. We cannot go to the next level because you don't have the emotional intelligence or empathy for us to move forward.
Yeah.
If it's something small, like whatever small is, but something major, I think we all have an idea, whether it's deaths or something crazy astronomical, like something crazy in your business that happened, or you lost all your money or whatever. Those conversations, when you display no real empathy towards it or it's dismissed, like what you gonna do later on when something more crazy happens? But here's the worst part. If a woman dismisses you having a serious moment, but yet is always crying to you about some shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's not a healthy relationship.
No, it's one-sided emotion. And the worst thing a man can do is be with an emotionally selfish woman. Because nobody talks about this. Emotionally selfish, meaning when I have a problem and things are hurting me,
the world has to stop.
The world has to stop. I'm going to cry on your shoulder. I'm going to cry on you. But when you display emotion, well, men are not supposed to. There are some women that work with the logic that men don't even have emotions. You know how many women I've heard say, I wish I was like a man and I didn't have emotions. I wish I didn't have feelings. I'm like, excuse me?
Or women, they is that, and then also the idea of like a women wants a man to be vulnerable, but they just don't give them the space to do it because it's those instances where you said like you're crying or you're doing whatever and they're dismissive. So most men don't even articulate that as a reason to break up. So they stay in the relationship, there, but they just hold all their emotions in. So they never cry again. They never show any sort of emotion in the relationship.
And here's the thing too. This is where women fuck up. They say, I want a man that displays his emotions to me and I want a man that's vulnerable and all of this, right? But here's the problem. They've dated a bunch of emotionally unavailable men, and then when they finally get the man they want, they're not equipped enough to deal with a man who can display his emotions. They dismiss it because they don't have any practice on how to be empathetic. Yeah. So they've dealt with all these dudes. They probably dealt with dudes that used to be murderers or some shit that never cry, that never have any emotions. And now they finally get a man who is manly enough, because in order for you, I think it's a very masculine thing to know who you are as a man and know that I'm not a crybaby. I'm not running around here being emotional with people and shit. But when I feel it and something's hurting me or it's a problem and I cry, I'm crying because there's a reason for it. You know what I mean? I mentioned it before. I was at a friend's funeral and one of the dudes there said, man, I can't cry in front of my girl, man. That's I'm crazy. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's sad that we live in a world like that, bro. Like, dog, if you can't cry in front of your girl, get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing too, like, when I see, like, I think that change is good. I think that when you do get into a relationship and you guys as a couple, you're growing together, you're learning about mental health, you're becoming more self-aware, you're becoming more aware of one another. But one thing that I see that is maybe like a little dangerous in terms of like their relationship is like from Will Smith's book, right? He told this story about how he had this girlfriend when he first started rapping. You know, he's 18, 19 years old. He got his deal. He going on tour and stuff like that. And this is around the time like the parents just don't understand, you know, that era. And he made it a point to have like the people in his crew, the DJs and stuff like that. And I don't know who else he had rolling with, or maybe a couple friends. He made it a point to never bring like women on the tour bus and stuff like that. So there was a moment where they young, they living in tour life, they bringing women back on the bus and stuff like that into the hotels and stuff. And Will Smith was obviously like a stand-up guy, right? So he went in there, and I don't know if he kicked the women out or whatever the case may be, but afterwards there was a conversation about him basically saying like, hey, we're not bringing any women on this bus. Like I got a girl at home whom I want to marry, and I don't want any temptation or nothing like that around. Like I'm a stand-up guy, one woman man, the whole nine, right? So that's like the ilk that Will Smith comes from, right? So fast forward until now, and for the most part, like we as humans, we kind of keep that same structure or system to our lives. So I couldn't imagine like somebody with that type of resilience all of a sudden when they turn 35, 36 or whatever, being like, oh, I'm a cheat now. You know what I mean? And this is a young version. The brain's not even developed yet, right?
Right.
So fast forward to then where and I don't know if this is true. Like, I'm not a person that even likes to speculate about people's relationship. But if this is the case, right? If this is a case where they have some open relationship, and then you see like the conversations that are being had on the red table, whether it's like Aisha Curry, speaking about, finding it, wanting attention from other men, and the women on the panel kind of like condoning that in some way, shape, or form, right? Or just other conversations they're having about mental health, and it's just like very progressive conversations, right? About sexuality and all these different things, right? So you take this pretty conservative person in terms of like romantic relationships, and then you match them with this person that is maybe a little bit more liberal or progressive in terms of their relationships. And you see like how someone can influence them, you know what I mean? And depending on the type of people that they've been groomed around, you know what I mean? Especially in LA is like, it's a very different culture where, there's people out there that'll, and this is stuff that happens pretty much everywhere, but LA specifically, where it's like a group of people that may be interested in certain sexual things, you know what I mean? It may be some orgy going on for whatever reason, or it may be somebody just doing shrooms and over here, maybe people doing these type of drugs, and it may be like Scientology, all these different like things that are like odd in a sense. They're not normally happen across America. And I say all that to say, like, you can see how maybe this progressive woman with this conservative man can kind of lead or can have like influence on their lives to where he almost like has to be okay with certain things or the growth of a person in order to maintain their marriage. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that when it comes down to what you just mentioned, when it came to her on her red table talk, having conversations with Aisha Curry, who was also a married woman who felt she deserved, like she wanted more male attention. And you got a bunch of married women that were on there appropriating the fact that they want male attention. They made it normal while being a married woman. What the fuck do you want attention from men for if you got a man? These are the type of conversations that you could piece. I'm not saying you're trying to piece together who a person is, but you have the tone of who a person is and what they're trying to appropriate. Also, you look at the extremes. No disrespect to Jada Pinkett, but the fact that you were fucking a 22-year-old man who was a friend of your child. These are the extremes that this woman is doing. That's wild. Let's just flip the roles around, and everything that Jada is doing, put a man in that position, and everybody would hate him. Imagine a man being married to a woman his age, but he's fucking a 22-year-old. That automatically would get him canceled. I just think that we need to be careful with how we view things. Just like with the whole alopecia conversation. We call it a disease, but men go through it every day. It's alopecia. We talking about alopecia? Huh? Don't make me turn into Iverson. We talking about alopecia, man. We talking about alopecia. Alopecia.
But I could understand HIV, but we talking about alopecia.
Yo, I be feeling bad for certain things that I laugh at, bro. Yeah. But I don't think it makes me a bad person. I seen a meme many times over and over, and it says, always stay positive, Magic Johnson. It was like a quote.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not laughing at Magic Johnson because he's HIV positive. That's not fucking funny. But the fact that somebody put that in a meme,
yeah,
it's like, come on,
it's
man.
a quote from Magic Johnson.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's got Magic like with a thumbs up. And I'm like, come on, y'all.
Big old smile.
Don't do this, dude.
That's funny.
Magic's a great guy. I feel bad for even laughing at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
But
might be cured too. Who knows?
yeah, I don't want to sound like I get all conspiratorial, but I really don't think Magic has HIV anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no fucking way. How do you get healthier and look better after having HIV?
And get way more money.
He looks better than most men his age.
Yeah.
Think about it. He's still in decent shape. You don't even think about HIV when you see Magic Johnson.
Yeah. He also came in an era where I think research was kind of just starting, and obviously he probably had the money to, afford the best doctors and stuff like that. But also it's 2022 now. They got commercials where they're saying like, hey, if you come in contact with HIV, take this medicine and blah, blah, blah. You can almost be undetectable and all this stuff like that. So the medicine now is so crazy where we ain't got to wear condoms no more.
Yeah, you lost your goddamn mind. You done lost your mind.
Don't wear no condoms, y'all, man. You can't die from HIV.
Yeah, that's crazy. They gonna, man, I had a joke. I ain't even gonna say it. Yeah, man, but a week later, really processing this whole thing.
Yeah.
With Will Smith and whatnot, it kind of like shed some new light on it. Also, Netflix and Sony have pulled out. Was it Will Smith?
They paused some of the productions that they had. They were working on Bad Boys 4. I think they put a halt to that. He had a movie coming out on Netflix, I believe, and they paused that. Pushed that back, I believe.
And honestly, and this is just me and just the way my brain works, I think that if Will Smith had embedded a genuine apology within that speech, then I think that they would have not pulled or paused what he was doing. I think that's just my brain. But I think the fact that it was kind of almost like a condescending tone in a way, where you apologize to everybody, you apologize to the Academy and all of these things. You embed Richard Williams within the apology, and then you completely skip over this intentionally, and then you don't even verbally do it, and it's a statement later on. So it's like, bro, how sorry can you be when your actions don't reflect that? I think in order for him, I don't think he needs to do damage control. I think he needs to legitimately go on his platform, which is, Instagram or whatever, and have a legitimate statement to Chris, or have a video with Chris. You and him talking.
That's the thing for me. Like, I don't think the publicity of it, if I'm Chris Rock, that makes it inauthentic to me. So that's why I, from the jump, was like if they have a personal conversation, and he says like, hey guys, like I want to reiterate again publicly. But if you're doing it publicly and not personally, that's the issue that I have. Because I was talking to one of my boys and he was like, man, he's like, Will Smith got to pull up on Chris Rock. And I was like, yeah, he could probably do that, or like, maybe FaceTime or something like that. He was like, nah, you got to like literally pull up on him. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Because I'm thinking about schedules and tours, and I'm like, bro, but these are people that have access to jets, and they can get anywhere. And I was like, dang, you're right. Because Will Smith when Jaden Smith was shooting Karate Kid, his oldest son Trey was also playing football. So
he was in a helicopter.
Yeah, so he was saying that he made it work so crazy to where, like, on Friday when they would shoot the shoot, and the way that the time difference is in China and in LA, he would hop on a flight with, I don't know who all was out there, maybe him and Jaden. Excuse me. He would hop on a flight, come back to LA, and then he would get there in enough time to go see all of his son's football games, and then on Sunday when they get ready to shoot again, he would fly back. So like, if he can do that, I say all that to say, if he can do that, he can for sure pull up on Chris Rock at the drop of a dime. So
Yeah.
you got to have that conversation personally, because
There just needs to be more. Is all I'm saying. You know, I think like we talked about, like it does. You said like I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. He didn't slap me. But see, here's the difference. They live in a different world than we do, right? I think we navigate our world, right? We navigate our world the way we navigate our world. But when you are a celebrity of his magnitude and you do something like that, you're not navigating your world properly. You're fucking it up. And in actuality, you know, there's probably all kind of people having conversations. This is what no one else is talking about too. I don't think Jada wanted him to do that, but I think she influenced him to do it. There's a difference. Like her actions and who she is, her aura influenced him to do something like that. But I don't think she's looked at Will and wanted him to do something in that moment. And I'll go as far to say maybe she's not even impressed by what he did.
I would say that she probably isn't, and this is just me interpreting people's characters from what I know about, you know, them through interviews and books and stuff like that. She doesn't necessarily like attention, right? And this is an assault that took place last Sunday that essentially made them the talk of the town for, this is going on a week now. You know what I mean? There's still people coming out. There's still stuff happening as far as him stepping down from the Oscars or the Academy and stuff like that. So
whatever that means.
It's so many things that are still going on, and I think that the Academy is still probably reviewing, you know, the type of action that they're going to take. So I just think like maybe, like you said, maybe she influenced this thing just based off of her aura or her reaction. But I think in its totality, she seems like, you know, just from what Will Smith said, she seems like a person that doesn't necessarily care for the limelight. So for this to be happening, like it probably, you know, backfired in a sense.
I wonder if Will, and this is just me just spitballing or throwing something out there. I wonder if he understands what type of energy in men that Jada really likes, and he's almost trying to live up to that. For example, she loved Tupac. Tupac was a dude that was spit at reporters, cussing people out. He was just a renegade, and she loved him. And she wrote, like, she would read his poems every year, or she would bust out a poem that wasn't like published or put out to the world. Like, this is a poem that nobody read yet. Like, it's always something involving Tupac. And Will Smith openly talked about it on the Breakfast Club about how he was jealous of Tupac because Tupac was this renegade type guy and he was the Fresh Prince. Like, he was opposite of him, and how they did not like each other, right? And
no, he didn't say they didn't like each other.
He said, well, he said they didn't see eye to eye.
They never talked. I don't think he got as far as saying they didn't like each other on a personal level.
No. I will do. All I know is there was no relationship there. And one time there was a video I'd seen of Tupac's crew stating that he wanted to fight Will, and there were multiple accounts of that. Right? Now we could dispute whether it was a reputable source, but it was the Outlaws.
Okay.
A couple of dudes from that group and his friends where I seen that from. I think it was a Vlad interview.
Okay.
All right. But you're not going to hear that from Will because it's Will Smith. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the buttoned up, politically correct, whatever. The whole reputation he fought to defend for 30 years got almost dismantled in one action.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I almost feel like what if her type of man is the Tupac August Alsina type of dude that she is sexually drawn to, but Will Smith is the buttoned up, clean cut type of guy, and he knows that.
The only reason I would dispute that is because the real bulk of Jada Pinkett and Tupac's relationship was like from a teenager to like 21 years old.
That's most of his life. He died at what, fucking 20.
But when Tupac was Thug Life tatted across the chest, that's like when he joined Death Row. and that was when he was like 25 maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
So I'm saying when Tupac turned into like the guy, he was on Digital Underground. He wasn't rapping. He wasn't rapping about no Thug Life.
No.
This is like Brenda's Got a Baby and all these different songs that like kind of.
She mentioned she didn't like that actually.
The Rough Rider.
Yeah, she mentioned she didn't. What? No, she mentioned she wasn't a fan of what Tupac was becoming.
That's what I'm saying. So that's my only pushback to that. So, but I'm saying by the time she met Will Smith and started a relationship with Will Smith, he hadn't even turned into the Tupac who we glorify as like the greatest gangster rapper of all time.
I don't know if he was a gangster rapper at all. He just like
switched. He got Thug Life on his chest.
I mean, that's just a tattoo.
I think people would call Tupac a gangster rapper.
No, I don't think
for
they
sure.
Would. Definitely not.
He was on Death Row. That's the biggest gangster rap label.
NWA was gangster rap.
I wouldn't even call NWA gangster
rap.
Oh,
come on, Keith.
They're telling stories about...
NWA, dope man, that's gangster rap.
They're telling a story about things that they're seeing.
No.
Ice Cube was not... I think West Side Connection...
Eazy-E was really in the streets. He was selling dope. Like he was the only real dude that was really in the street. He was a street dude. He wasn't even a rapper.
Eazy-E was the guy, right?
Yeah.
But Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, and I don't know about Yella, but they're just telling stories.
Right.
They're more storytelling. I would say even Ice Cube when he joined like West Side Connection.
That's still gangster rap though.
That's what I don't even think. How can you call that gangster rap and not
It is the
Tupac?
definition of if you go to Google right now and you put in gangster rap, NWA will be the #1 group that come up. I guarantee you. You think of gangster rap, it's NWA. But
how can NWA be gangster rap and not Tupac? I don't understand that statement. When Tupac is signed to the label that was kind of built around Dr. Dre.
I'm just saying he ain't no gangster. That's all I'm saying. Him individually.
Ice Cube is not a gangster. Dr. Dre is not a gangster.
But they all from Compton. So the thing about it is...
I don't even think Ice Cube is from Compton, though.
They all from L.A.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is a lot of them are rapping about Eazy-E's experience. Like he was really in the streets. And it got so bad that the actual U.S. government had them on a list of like banned groups.
But they're like missing. That's white people misinterpreting the stories that they're telling.
Yeah, but it's like, look.
F the Police is not a gangster rap song.
It's not a gangster rap song, but it's a rebellion from the streets where basically they had felt they were violated and were telling a story about it. But they also talked about the dope man and things like that, which was reflecting. It was reflection of a gangster lifestyle. You know. Talking about a drug addict basically sucking dick for crack.
That's like saying Kendrick Lamar is a gangster rap just because he's telling stories about.
He's telling
people.
stories that not about. He's the opposite of a gangster rapper. He happened to be from the same streets, but like that's gangster rap, bruh.
I'm saying that doesn't make sense because if you don't call Kendrick Lamar a gangster rapper who's doing the same exact thing that NWA is doing, then your argument is just it kind of falls flat.
I don't know, man. You overthinking this shit. I think when you like I was coming up in the 90s, bro. Like I've seen like when you talk about Death Row, Suge Knight was a blood, right? So it's all the same tone. Most rappers are not street guys. You know what I'm saying? Snoop was a Crip though. Snoop was a Crip. Who was another one? Suge Knight was technically, I believe he was a blood. And a couple other dudes was Crips too. But like street dudes, no. And most gangsters that's really, really in it thick.
So you're saying that I'm not saying Tupac was I think he's affiliated with something just because he's on death row. I'm not calling him like some sort of Compton blood, but he's a gangster rapper by definition.
I just put in gangster rap songs. Okay, Ghetto Boys came up as gangster rap. Ghetto Boys Mind Playing Tricks on Me. Fuck the Police, NWA. It's just, this is what's popping up. None But a G Thing. Dr. Dre, who was a part of Death Row. It Was a Good Day. Ice Cube.
That's not a gangster rap song.
Bro, this is what's coming up.
This is Google.
Yeah, but like, what is gangster rap? Tupac's gangster rap? He wasn't even from the West Coast. He's from Baltimore. Then he went to Oakland. Then from Oakland, he came to L.A.
So it has nothing to do with gangster rap. Can be in New York though.
It can, but at the same, like, gangster rap was born. It was a LA thing. When you talk about the origin of gangster rap is Los Angeles.
You would have to define gangster rap for me.
I mean, bro, I'm not the one that's making the definition. I just grew up listening.
This is just Google, though.
I'm 37, man.
For me, gangster rap is just a tone, a story. When I think of gangster rap, I think of someone that is.
You want to know what gangster rap is now? It's probably YG.
Yeah. Okay.
That's probably what I would consider gangster rap is like a YG. But
the gangster rapper, even if for a guy like YG, these are people that look up to Tupac, and I think they would deem him as like a gangster rapper.
Apparently so. But what I will say about Tupac, may he rest in peace. But all of a sudden he became a blood at like 23. Like,
who, Tupac?
Yeah. Like he wasn't repping no sets at no time. Like I got a lot of love for Pac, bro. But like, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. Like he wasn't really about that. But he was getting into a bunch of negative shit to kind of prove himself when he was on that label with Suge. Mm-hmm. But everybody knew he was like a poet, you know, more than anything. He was a very deep person.
He's like an art school kid.
Art school kid who was educated. Like that's who Tupac really was. I think had he actually leaned more, I think he would have been successful regardless. He didn't need Death Row.
He was already like, he'd done a lot. He was in movies and stuff prior to being on Death Row.
I think he would have been a massive actor if he was alive.
Yeah.
He started getting some roles. He started, like, Juice was a good movie. He played a really good villain.
Yeah.
And then also there was a movie where he was a cop right before he died. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
Was it called Gridlock or some shit?
I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was a great actor. He wasn't a good actor. He wasn't a good rapper. He wasn't a good actor, you know, for being a rapper. He was a good actor, period.
Yeah.
So had he leaned more into his artistic...
Poetic Justice.
Fucking great movie.
Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah.
Right? And Cousin, what's up, Cousin? Mm-hmm. Remember that part?
Yeah, when they go to the cookout.
Great fucking movie, man. How did we get here, Keith?
I don't know. Shout out to Tupac though. What I was Academics was breaking it down, and Academics was like, man, like it's. I had this conversation too with this girl, and I was saying like, a lot of women don't create this safe space for men, and the reason why I know this is because like, and this is us being detective, right? Mm-hmm. Will Smith does speak openly about his, I guess, how he pales in comparison to Tupac.
Yeah, he was
how
jealous.
He was jealous of the type of love that Jada Pinkett had for him. If you know that your partner has some type of insecurity, and for you to
see where you go,
like, every birthday post a poem, post a picture or something like that. And then sometimes not even post your husband, whatever, shout out on their birthday. I think that is triggering. And
yes.
And you can be working, you can be a work in progress. You can work on your insecurities because their relationship has nothing to do with Will Smith, right?
100%.
But, you know, there is a way where you can, I feel like maybe not intentionally, but you are triggering someone because there is that insecurity that they have. In the interview on The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne, and this is the part where the Breakfast Club kind of is trash sometimes because it's three people on there trying to interview people, right? So Charlemagne asked about the Tupac thing or whatever, and then somebody, Charlemagne was going to ask another follow-up question as to like, how did you get over that? But somebody cut him off, and then they asked him another question, and then, you know how interviews go, it's just like a whole thing. So he never got to say that, because he just said like, for a long time I felt this way, so much so that I didn't meet him and stuff like that. And like, we don't know if there's any resolution, is what I'm saying. So he could still probably be feeling that type of insecurity 53 years into his life, you know? So
100%. But the question that I have more than anything is there intention behind her doing that? If there's intention behind her, you know, sprinkling Tupac in these convenient moments, like I think some people will say like, he shouldn't be insecure about that. Like Tupac is dead. What is he gonna do? But I think that there are some women that realize when they're pressing a button, and they realize they're doing it, and they feel like, and they're appropriating. Okay, let's say for example, let's say that I have a girlfriend from like college, and let's say me and her, were together. It was serious, and then she just died. But imagine if I meet a new woman 6-7 years later, and I keep on bringing up my ex-girlfriend, how great she was, how smart she was, how funny she was. Any human being would be bothered by that.
Yeah.
Now let's magnify it times 100. And now you've got Will Smith, Jada. You guys are public figures, but you're outwardly putting this message out there. So now not only does your husband have to see this head on, but now he has to see it in the media. That would make me feel terrible if I'm with a woman and let's say she had a boyfriend. They were together for 7-8 years. They was about to get married, but he dies, or whatever the relationship was. They were just very close, very close. And she keeps on bringing up, Malcolm used to love those sandwiches. They were the best. Dude, Malcolm used to love when we went over here to the park. That was our favorite spot. Like, I'm supposed to be okay with you doing this shit?
As a man, this is like a kind of tangent, but as a man, I've realized that is like an immediate red flag.
Oh, a billion fucking percent.
Women be like to casually bring up their boyfriends, like, oh, that was my favorite restaurant. My boyfriend took me there on my 21st birthday or something like that. And you're just like, yo, why is he even? I haven't mentioned any of my relationships 100%. In this conversation, so why are you bringing up? And you can articulate these things without even bringing them up. You know what I mean?
I think that sometimes women think, and this is, if there's intention behind it, then they're using it. I think some women have had men who have been insecure or had problems, and they're trying to, in some cases, bring these insecurities out of you to see how you react. I think women test men with certain things, not realizing that we can dismiss you for it. So, for example, if you want to find out if I'm insecure and you bring up your ex-boyfriend and you say, that was my favorite spot, like my ex used to take me there, right? I'm not going to say nothing. I'm going to let you think that you tested me and that was it. And I'm going to be quiet. And I'm going to wait for you to do it again, and I'm just going to dismiss you. Because you're doing something that I don't do to you, right? I don't be like, man, my ex has some good pussy, man. Man, she used to know how to ride that thing. Yeah. Can you imagine how, that's an extreme though. But I'm saying, if I said, yo, my ex, man, like, she has some really good hair. Even something like that. Yeah. She had really good hair. Oh, anyways, let's go to this restaurant over here. What I'll be like, oh yeah, my ex.
Or the worst is like a comparison to some.
There you go.
Form. Like say, y'all having dinner or something like that. And you'd be like, yeah, my ex, she used to cook a really good soup, like a really good
something
chicken
that
soup.
small. That small.
That'd be going crazy.
That soup will take a woman over the fucking edge
because it's like comparing their food or whatever to their that would be good.
Yeah, and then what the funny thing is and it won't, and even if you did that and they didn't respond and didn't come out, when they get frustrated and an argument happens,
it's coming back.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
And it could be something completely unrelated. You'd be like, why did you leave the dishes out? Every time I tell you leave the dishes out, and then you compare me to your ex with soup, you'd be like, wait, what the fuck is going on here? I remember Andrew brought that up, but it was hilarious how Andrew Schultz brought it up. He was like, I don't get why you keep leaving the doors open. It doesn't make any sense. And you never buy me the things I want from the store.
Yeah.
And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
You just like conflated these two things that don't make sense, because the one thing is really bothering you over here, right? The comparison about my ex's soup that she made is bothering you, but you're using the dishes being out as an excuse for you to like unpack this moment that you're having about the soup.
That's facts. I think I would just say for people out there, like, yo, that's not cool. And even if your partner hasn't articulated that to you, like they feel some type of way. So stop doing those, like, don't even mention, like, unless it's like, I don't even know in what capacity it can be brought up or what scenario, but unless you got like kids with somebody, the idea of them should be like mentioned very rarely.
Seldomly. Like hardly nothing. Nothing.
Unless it's like a question like, hey, where did you get this from? or maybe it's a present from your ex or something like that, and somebody in your partner is asking you, you could be like, oh yeah, my ex bought it for me back in the day, and just leave it at that. Don't be trying to say, yeah, she bought it for me and it was the greatest moment of my life.
Imagine this too. Imagine if they got because we talk about the 90s, right? You know how camcorders weren't that great.
Yeah.
Imagine if they have some old pixelated sex tape with Jada Pinkett and Will Smith and fucking Tupac.
Oh my gosh.
You like,
I don't even
Hail Mary, run quick, see.
Alopecia. You gonna have alopecia in 2022.
That's why she cut her hair off, trying to be like Tupac.
I'm dead.
Oh,
I'm
man.
dead. That nigga Tupac be predicting everything.
Oh my God. Oh, I'd be like, how do you Oh, yo. Hey, that song was that was a low key hit back in the day.
How do you want it?
Yeah.
I was Tupac got straight slaps.
Yeah, he got some.
Like getting with Dr. Dre, but even before Dr. Dre.
Yeah, he did.
Just like great sounding music. I was at my aunt's plural their birthday party, and it was certain songs that because like they had the little DJ set up in the back.
Yeah.
And there was certain songs when you hear them sonically, you be like, yo, this slaps.
The number one to me is Keep Your Head Up. That motherfucker go in. So the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And like he was just, Tupac had this flow about him that he probably might be the most original rapper ever.
Yeah. I was listening to California Love,
right?
Because I was making this song and I was like, I wanted to make it like a West Coast anthem type thing.
Right.
So I was listening to like what the subject matter was and like Dr. Dre's verse and Tupac's verse and stuff. Tupac's verse was like, it was so much energy, like out on bail for shot of jail hearing hoochie screaming, and it was like, it literally felt like this nigga got. Like they took the handcuffs off, and then he went straight to the studio, and all the energy from all the scandals and everything, and signing the death row, it just went into that verse.
Back in the day when MTV actually showed videos, I remember so many videos that came out on MTV that were exclusives, and like they would be. It was so exclusive that they would like be having a little program on like the Real World or Road Rules. Remember those shows on MTV? And it would like stop the show and it'd be like MTV exclusive. And they did that with what's the song with Snoop and Tupac? Gangsta Party.
America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, America's Most Wanted.
Two of America's Most Wanted. Ain't that the name of the song?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. But basically
that's when they in the courthouse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the suits on. Yeah.
Yes. That was a fucking massive video.
Yeah.
And I remember I seen that when it first came out.
Yeah.
And then another one was let's flash forward to 1999 with Nas and P. Diddy. Hate Me Now. I don't know if you remember that when that came out. And then Nas had the thorns on his head like Jesus. And everybody was like, what the fuck is this shit? Because like a lot of religious people did not like that. But it's like he was up on the cross with the thorns and like rapping. And I was in the 8th grade. I was like, yo, this is so dope. I can't believe I'm seeing this.
We don't get it. I think like now the amount of money going out in the music industry has kind of went down.
Right.
So we don't get those type of moments. Like California Love, they might have spent like $2 million
that was
on
huge.
that. On the music video. You got Chris Tucker in there. You got a whole what is it called?
They took the theme from Mad Max.
Yeah. I think they actually, and that was like the second video they shot because they had an original California Love music video.
That's when Zapp was still alive from Zapp and Roger.
I think George Clooney might have been in the video too. George Clinton, my bad.
I was like, George Clooney, what the fuck?
George Clooney, no, George Clinton, he might have been in the video. Chris Tucker, a couple other people. But yeah, it was like an event. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like we don't get that anymore. Like, you know what I mean?
Remember at the end, he's like, computer,
Yeah. Yeah.
Shake it, mama, shake it,
Shake it,
baby.
baby.
Shake it.
And then like just a shout out to everybody, you know, from Sacramento to you know, all these different cities and stuff like that.
Hey, yo, Zap and Roger has some fucking some hits. Remember them back in the day?
They just played at the function, Chocolate City. Do you remember that? Chocolate City.
Was it Zap and Roger?
Yeah.
Oh,
It might just be Roger, but
Roger.
But
Computer love.
Computer Love. And then they played on every song. So like, I think, you know, just doing like different little background.
That was,
stuff like
believe it or not, that was the prequel to Auto-Tune.
Kind of. I will say the only difference is the texture of it, kind of, but the talk box is a real instrument.
It's a real instrument, yeah.
Yeah. So the idea of it, like music wise, is completely different. But I think sonically, there is some similarities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a trip. Zap, he has some hits too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all. He got a couple.
They did some.
Is that Zap too? Dum 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 dum. Remember that?
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think it's Do I Diddy. I think it is.
I don't know. He did some with Keith Sweat too. I forget what song, but he was on there. You could look up like on the, you know, they got the credits on Spotify.
Keith Sweat was massive in the 90s, bro.
Yeah.
He was the first R&B artist to cry he was crying for the pussy.
Yeah.
He's like, I wanna feel ya.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. He was so huge. Like even now, to where like when I tell people my name, like they'll be like, "Oh, Keith, like Keith Sweat," you know what I mean? To where like he was just a huge.
It's just because
deal.
you black, bro.
Yeah,
they gotta compare you to the next black guy.
Yeah, I think that, but also because it's
Keith Sweat is the only cool Keith ever, bro.
That's what I'm saying. So that's the like, because sometimes when you hear the name Keith, it could sound like so many different things. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound like, you know, when you have a multi-syllable name like Eddie, you can't really mistake it when you hear it.
Right,
you know
right.
But sometimes when I say Keith, they kind of
Heath?
Yeah, it's like Heath, or what do you like Pete, or you know what I mean?
Yo,
Like they
I don't know no cool niggas named Keith, bro.
Well, what the hell am I?
Oh man, yo, it was this comedian. It was this comedian that was talking about like, yo, I had to fight for my life when I was in school. Like nobody was afraid of me. They was like, hey, yo, Harold is looking for you. If you got a name like Harold, bro. Yo, you think about the names back in the day.
That's funny.
Yo, it was some wild names back in the day, like Mildred, fucking Dick. People really like legit had names Dick. That was a real name back in the day.
Yeah.
You could not be named Dick nowadays.
What about the people named after states?
Oh, Carolina. Carolina is it's the actual cool name.
Carolina.
That's the only cool state. Now, if you name me Mississippi, I'm pissed.
I haven't heard Mississippi. Georgia. I might have heard of
Georgia. That's my
before.
aunt's name. That's my aunt's name.
Yeah, Georgia.
Ray Charles made a song called Georgia.
Florida.
Nah, I ain't never heard no Florida.
That was the name of what's the name?
Texas. I heard Texas before.
In Good Times. Good Times? Yeah, in Good Times. James and Florida Evans.
Oh shit! I heard of Texas, but they just called him Tex for short.
I ain't never heard Texas. That's a wild name.
Oh no, I know somebody named Texas.
Yeah, they gotta take that one back to the drawing board.
Yeah, you name
I've heard of Dakota.
Yeah, Dakota.
Yeah,
that's one. If you naming your kid Nebraska or something, that's just fucked up.
Yeah, I haven't heard Nebraska.
Yeah,
I heard like a Boston. I think I might have heard a name Boston before.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and switch gears. We're just getting too lost in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I
my
think
grandma's name is Virginia.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Switching gears.
Shout out Tupac.
Shout out to Tupac. Shout out to Tupac sex tape with Jada Pink. Ain't nothing but a gangster party. Will Smith gonna love this. No, Will Smith ain't never gonna find this tape. She probably got like a whole like hidden, like it's somewhere in a bank vault, a bunch of like pixelated sex videos of Tupac.
That's crazy.
Tupac like,
then one in HD with August Alsina.
Oh damn.
6K.
She got 4K with August.
That's crazy.
What if she took the old videos? You know how you could take the old videos and update them to like 4K almost.
Oh, you could remaster them.
Yep, Tupac's tattoo was brand new and shit in the video.
That's hilarious. I was watching Boys in the Hood on like on HBO Max or something like that, and I was like, "Yo, this is the image is crispy."
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they updated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching it not too long ago. All right, switching gears. Jerrod Carmichael. Comedian Jerrod Carmichael just recently came out as gay during his stand-up special. And I think that the way he did it, like he did it in such a masterful way. I'm sure it was hard for this guy to do that. But yeah, I think there was a lot of very silent moments he was having up there. He was having a tough time doing it, but he still got through it. Yeah. Now, what I'll say is this. I'm a fan of comedy. And I feel like the way me and Keith look at this, like we don't really give a shit that he's gay, but I think that me and Keith have made it to a place where a lot of people don't make it. There's a lot of homophobia in the world. Somebody being gay does nothing to my life, right? So the thing about it, we're like, he came out gay, who cares? But most of the world is not progressive in that way. A lot of the world is like, oh man, here go another gay black man emasculating the black man and you doing this. Like, gay don't have a race. People just be gay, bro. It's just a bunch of gay people and a bunch of different cultures, right? Even though the average relationship is heterosexual. That is the average relationship between, just in general, is most men and women are together. But there are people who are gay. And I think that a lot of people have not updated how they think about what gay is.
Yeah.
I think that he did a great job of embedding humor within his personal experience. And I think when you're a huge, how do you say this? Not only fan of comedy, but when you actually have done comedy, you can find the funny not in the pain, but in the delivery in which a person is trying to express themselves. And I think he did an amazing job. And the special is on HBO for those who want to see it. Yeah. Some are going to be like, oh, that nigga gay. I ain't watching that.
I think what I'm realizing now is like, and not that this is like a ploy or a marketing scheme or something like that, but almost like you mentioned before the podcast, something about he is a person that is a comedian and, a show, a creative and an actor and, a showrunner and show creator. So he wouldn't have just posted something on Twitter, or he wouldn't have came out on Twitter or Instagram or something like that. He used his medium that he's familiar with, comfortable with to say what he wanted to say. And I think like, it's interesting because that's kind of similarly what Frank Ocean did, with Channel Orange when his album came out. And it kind of leaked in similar fashions because obviously, people in the, journalism world, they get a hold of certain things before things come out. So before Frank Ocean said anything outside of the music, people heard him using certain pronouns in his songs, and they were like, "Oh, this is Frank Ocean is coming out as gay." And then afterwards, he wrote a whole letter on Tumblr or whatever. But outside of that, I think it's interesting. Like sometimes people waste moments on social media. So like Jerrod Carmichael has a special. And, he's speaking his truth. So I don't want to make it sound like this is like some marketing scheme. But it's like, if you have something to say, like we need to use our platforms. Right. And I think that's the power in that versus like this coming out, through, it would suck if this came out, one, when it was not by him. And then two, if he just tweeted about it. Right. So the same thing with like Isaiah Rashad. If Isaiah Rashad whenever he decides to, speak about that situation, one, it sucks that he wasn't able to kind of like come to terms with it on its own, but it would have been so dope if he would be able to like articulate that in a verse or in a song or something like that. But just with the special, it sucks that I just ran out of time. I didn't have enough time to like actually watch the special. But the little bit that I did see, it was like an emotional journey. And, I was like, he's a funny comedian, of course, but I wasn't really laughing because I'm so invested in the emotion of right. what he's trying to get out. He's speaking about how the difficulty in it, right? And you mentioned before, like this idea of like, who cares? Or like, oftentimes we see these things and we're like, why is this even a conversation? And, going back to the idea that most people aren't as progressive as we might be, and how dismissive the idea of like, who cares can be. Because some people do care, and his struggle is probably a public one. But I would say the majority of his real struggle and the real tough time he has to do with that. And he mentioned it even on SNL. He's like, New York is like where he lives, and it makes him more comfortable because, right. They're a little bit more progressive there. Right. But just in your personal life, you're coming out to your family, your friends. And, I know for our family, we have just a few people that are, openly gay now. Right. And I can understand how difficult it could be. Right. Because you come up from a very religious background, going to church every single day. Sometimes a pastor can be your father. Sometimes, a pastor can be your aunt or uncle or whatever the case may be. And you're having to come out to these people, and you don't even know how they're going to receive it. And one thing that he said is like, his brother, whom he loves, is like accepting of it, but it's like an asterisk by it. Because a lot of us are like, I love you, but I don't love the lifestyle. Or, right. His brother didn't even go to the special, and he had been to all of them before. And just the kind of, the disapproval from his mom, and the struggle of, it's different when you're in a progressive family, right? There are some kids who now are going to grow up in a family where it's going to be very easy for them to come out. But when you've lived 34 years of your life, or I don't know exactly how old he was when he came out, but when you live a certain amount of your life, and this is just kind of the norm, or they are just assuming your sexuality, and then you kind of just dropping this bomb on them with this type of information, I can understand the right. difficulty in it, And, I think that I would like to applaud him for having the courage to do it. You know what I mean? It's like I said before too, it's different for everybody to, for these type of things. And I can tell the struggle for him was he already knew the impact it would have on the people around him. He knew that a certain, like the black women, he was saying like the black women kind of were more accepting. Some of his friends were kind of like, dang, I feel like, I got kind of swayed into having a gay best friend and stuff like that. And then obviously like
he's a comedic tone for that though.
Yeah. But yeah, I could just see the struggle, and I just think it's really dope how he kind of like turned this into a conversation piece as well as like a comedic thing. The comedic tone he added to it, he said, I've had a friend for many years that I came out to and told him, and he was like, I don't really like this. I feel like I got conned into having a gay best friend or something. Mm-hmm. And then, but he basically, before he said that, he prefaced it by stating like, I got a friend I've known for years. I've always been there for him. He slept on my couch. I've always supported him. And then he felt like, he almost got conned into having a best friend. And I was like, nigga, you owe me $85,000, mm-hmm. right? But it's funnier the way he framed it, obviously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that, and then there was also like his mother was crying and things of that nature. I just think like, bro, none of us as parents
like I don't have kids, but if you were a parent and your kid came out as gay to you, I don't think your first reaction would be like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you would hate them because they're gay, but it would definitely be a shock to you, because as a parent, the vision that you have of your kids will always be heterosexual. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because the average relationship is heterosexual, woman, man, man, woman. Mm-hmm. That's the average relationship in the world. So when someone that you expect probably to be a great husband one day tells you, hey, you know, I'm gay, imagine how that might make a parent feel. They might need time to process it. Mm-hmm. It's not like they hate their kid or whatever, but the person that's dealing with the actual, they're the recipient of that energy. Mm-hmm. He said, I just wish more people wouldn't feel like I had like a disease or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think
it's another angle too. Like, as far as like lineage, you know, right. Imagine having, one, like only having one kid, right? And then that kid turns out to be homosexual, and that outside of adoption, that's kind of where your lineage ends.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So that's another angle that, you know, that people don't often think about. So outside of like the homophobia of it, or maybe it is a fear in a sense, right? A fear of, you know, not being able to really pass on anything to
the lineage aspect.
Because it's like imagine like as a black man or a black family, and you're trying to build generational wealth. Then you got this gay ass son walking around. No, it was like, this is the end of your generational wealth.
You know what it is too. I just had this thought about it, but it's almost like the idea of, you know, your grandparents or your parents are like, when am I going to have some grandkids? When you going to give me some grandkids? Especially in the black and brown community, mm-hmm. they tend to do that a lot. Like, when are you going to have grandkids? You could be 22 years old. When are you going to give me some grandkids? Mm-hmm. And I think that the idea of like them looking at you like, when are you going to give me some grandkids? And then they find out that you gay. So them grandkids, they ain't never coming.
Gonna get no
them grandkids ain't never coming. In addition to them always seeing you as this heterosexual, and especially if you're Jerrod Carmichael and you're very successful, they assume that you can't keep women off you. Mm-hmm. Like when you're Jerrod Carmichael and you're writing these shows and you're doing all of this and you're making all this money, they just know that you just can't stop. Like the panties are everywhere.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case.
The boxer briefs are everywhere.
Yeah, nigga got Hanes everywhere. No, but the thing about it too is he said, I was having a hard time coming to grips. Like Jerrod Carmichael basically explained how he was having this argument with himself. Like, what the fuck? How am I gay? Like, I can't believe I'm gay. Mm-hmm. He's like, he said, I would be in the shower like, damn, nigga, you gay. Like,
yeah.
Like he was really having those arguments.
Internal struggle.
Yeah,
that's why the movie Moonlight is kind of so important for the world, but you know, our culture too, because it's this masculine gay man, you know, and he can't really run from the fact that he is attracted to this other guy, and you know, it's a very powerful movie if you guys haven't seen it. Yeah, but yeah, man, that's the story. We
can't jump over this. He mentioned the fact that like he almost did not want to be here. Mm-hmm. Like he almost wanted to die in a way. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this special was not only him coming out, but it was a way for him to decompress. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't come out without using his art as a it's like a vessel for his messaging. Yeah. And it was people that was clapping and was giving him love. He was like, I need the love, man. Thank you. I need the love. And he wasn't shy that he needed the love, mm-hmm. because he probably was not directly experiencing that from his family.
Yeah, he's going through it. It's ironic he had that conversation about dating a white man.
Yeah.
And I had that thought about like, because I want to get back to my point.
The mic's picking that shit up?
Earlier, I was on the freeway and there was this guy with the shirt off. He looked like, you know, like a homeless guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I called the police, or I called 911, and
where
they
was he
transferred
at?
me to. He was on the freeway, but he
Oh,
was
fuck.
walking. You know those big, huge blocks that they put out to divide like the roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like tiptoeing across one of those things, right? And there's no shoulder, so if he like slipped off and
He's
any
fucked.
yeah, so I called 911 and they transferred me to CHP.
CHP,
yeah, and then I got on the line because I was like, man, that's dangerous. And the only reason I knew to call is because one time the traffic got shut down like when we were going to LA because somebody was like basically looking like they were going to run into traffic. So
it was a time where they stopped traffic and I took the 58 instead of the 5 or the 99 because I split off 58. And the reason why it was shut down, I found out a man committed suicide. He jumped off the fucking bridge.
oh my god,
This is here in Bakersfield.
yeah,
It's further down. It's right before the 99-5 like split right there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, geez, man, that's terrible.
yeah. But what I was saying was like, like there's this like that same idea he had about like what people thought about like black couples, right? This strong black family dynamic and stuff like that. But I did have a thought like, yeah, I wonder how that works, like does it, because part of the black, the desire to have like black couples is like, kind of like a lineage, it's a cultural thing, but, partly to do with like the offspring as well. But it's like if you're a man, he basically articulated in the show like that he's not screwing up anything because he's not having kids with this man. So it was just a thought I had, which is ironic that he was able to put that into a joke.
Yeah, man. I thought I'm gonna watch the rest of the special because it was really interesting. Yeah. Like you're kind of watching a person's experience kind of play out in real time. And I thought that was an interesting element to the whole deal. Yeah. But yeah, Jerrod Carmichael is a pretty funny guy. I haven't seen a lot of his work over the years. But he had an audience there. But he mentioned something about like he's like, man, he said I could imagine right now somebody on HBO, somebody watching this with their girl like, oh, we turning this shit off now.
It's a gay comedy show.
It's like, this is a gay comedy show. I ain't watching this. And I think like as people, we got to get past that. I feel like if somebody's if somebody's saying or doing something that doesn't really make you feel comfortable to watch or whatever, I get it. You don't have to tune into that. But I think we still need to make it to a place that if somebody is displaying an art form, it has nothing to do with them being gay. Like, for example, let's say somebody is, I don't know, they're an embroiderer. They do like embroidery work, right? And they're really good at what they do. And then there's one guy that's gay that is a good embroiderer, and it's a dude that's not gay. And he's like not as good as the gay guy. There are some people that will go to the non-gay guy just because he ain't gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, I personally don't give a fuck if you gay or not. If you could do a good embroidery job, I'm going to go with the best person. And that's because I don't have this almost built-in homophobia. Like that has nothing to do with me, but I think a lot of people don't look at shit like that. I don't think we have completely made it to a place where that's the thing. And it's not even a deal of appropriating gay or not. That's not even the conversation. The conversation is like, don't unsubscribe. It's almost okay, like Isaiah Rashad, right? Isaiah Rashad, they came out with that freaking the sex tape that it came out that exposed him for being gay. I still like his music though. I think he's a dope artist.
The crazy thing about Isaiah Rashad is the happiest I've ever seen him on camera was when he had a dick in his mouth.
Oh no!
And that's a joke, but I'm serious because if you look like when you look at some of his interviews, right, on the Breakfast
I wasn't
Club,
expecting that.
on the Breakfast Club, but just look at his interviews, you could tell he's kind of
sad.
like, he's just kind of like sitting there, kind of very monotone.
Oh, there's a correlation there.
Yeah, so it's a joke, but I'm being serious. Like, and even when he's the other video where he's in there with the guys or whatever, he's like, he's having a good time.
He was in Dixieland.
That's
the
crazy.
happiest place on earth.
That's wild.
Yeah, but I think what it is though is like, even though that's a joke, I understand like sometimes we add too many stand-up elements when we say things, and
there's truth to
the joke. There's truth to that joke where maybe in that environment where he can be himself in that moment, he was happy. But when he's doing these interviews, he's constantly hiding who he is. He's hiding on a Breakfast Club that he gay. He hiding with TDE that he gay. He hiding in his rap songs that he gay because he always rapping about women. So he's hiding. The fucked up part about him being exposed for that sex tape is that he probably didn't want to come out like that. But the good thing about him being exposed for that is the fact that he could just live his truth now. You know what I'm saying?
But even with that, you have to come to grips with it, right?
Yes, facts.
We are people like the nigga that get caught cheating. He like, that ain't me, and that or your friend didn't see me at the club with such and such. We lie to the death. You know what I mean? So I would hope that that kind of nudged him into the direction of living his truth.
I think that like it's almost to the extent that some people that can openly be gay is saving their life.
Yeah.
Because Jerrod Carmichael basically said like he just did like he almost wanted to die. But in his words, I don't know if I'm articulating it properly or doing it justice, but he said something like, I almost didn't want to be here anymore. So
he was saying that he would rather die than come out.
He
planned on not coming out at all.
Not coming out at all, right? Yeah, but I think that he had to do it. I think
that, sorry to cut you off, but I think that's empowering to certain people that are struggling. So somebody could watch that and be like, yo, like, I'm going to come out to my whomever,
There was a video of this kid that was coming out. And I mean, you could obviously tell that the young man had some flamboyance to him, that he probably was gay. It's not okay to just assume somebody gay, but you could kind of tell there was lots of tones of him being gay. And he's like, Mom, I just have something I have to tell you. And she was basically telling him like, tell me, it's okay, tell me. And he was like, you are, aren't you? You are. Like, she didn't even say you're gay. And he was like, yes. And he started crying. He's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
His mom already knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She already knew that the young man was gay. But I think he needed that acceptance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it now in 2022, it's becoming more easy for people to decompress and do that. And that's why, like, I talked about many years ago how I would say things that was homophobic and think it was cool or not realize that it was hurting people, right? But over time, you especially when you mature as a man, you see that, like, being homophobic is not masculinity at all. At all. Like, I've seen some people give gay too much energy. Like, man, what them gay people doing here, man? I don't even want them here, man. What they doing here? And it's like, why are you mad at somebody for being gay when they way over there? How does that affect your life? They gay minding their business.
Yeah.
Like, if you like pussy, don't worry about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Like, what's the big deal? That's why, like, when people be like, on the internet, it's supposed to be Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. What's possessing you to write this stuff? Like, what is driving you to put this energy out there, bro?
Yeah.
I got uncles and people in my family that still drop the F-bomb that rhymes with maggot when it comes to gay people. Don't be appropriating this gay ass shit. Don't be putting this gay shit all over the fucking place. And they be like, it's your generation that want to appropriate this gay shit. Don't put this gay shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that energy is that's just too much.
Yeah.
And then what people do, here's the thing that I don't like. I feel like as human beings, we are imperfect human beings. But we like to pick and choose what sins in the Bible are sins. We'll be like, gay is the number one sin. Gay is saying in the Bible it's an abomination, right? But that's like the only sin we pay attention to. Do you know how many motherfuckers that I know that don't take care of their kids, have children out of wedlock, have premarital sex? You know how many fat people exist in this world? Isn't gluttony a sin? Like, we're all sinning. We just sin differently. But as a group, we've determined that gay is the worst sin. We've determined that, hey, You could be 400 pounds, just don't be gay. You know? You know
Yeah.
You could be on my 600 pound, what's it called? My 600 pound life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You could be 600 pounds and they gotta knock a whole wall down and use a forklift to get your ass out the house, but just don't be gay.
Yeah.
You know? It's crazy how we view these things as like a society of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, man. I think I don't know. I just think it's powerful. For me, for me the coming out was like when I seen the headline, I didn't really pay too much attention to it.
right.
I seen it and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I didn't do like a deep dive, but I kind of took a note of the headline. But when I was watching the video, I think I'm more interested in the human experience, right? And maybe that's like the filmmaker in me. So that thing, when I watched it, I wasn't really laughing much. I'm just looking at him and like this emotional journey he's going on, where he's like wiping his head and he's like taking his time and like slow pacing it. And the way that I forget who directed it. They mentioned his name, or the person's name. But they did a great job of just kind of like selecting the right.
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons?
Is Richard Simmons
Richard Simmons.
That's the gay guy that does it.
Wait, you mean the guy the exercise guy? I was like, I don't know.
I'm fucking around.
I'm not familiar with Richard Simmons' work. Shout out Richard Simmons. Is he still alive?
I'm about to Google that right now.
Yeah.
Richard Simmons, people could laugh and say whatever they want, but he motivated a lot of people to lose weight before the Instagram fitness era.
He got a lot of fat white women in shape.
Yeah, he sure did. I think he's still alive. He's 73.
Okay.
It's not saying that he died, so he's still alive.
Good deal. But yeah, I think like, the way that, it was kind of, like if you just kind of look at for me, I'm a person that I am an empath. So when it comes to, looking at those type of videos, like I'm kind of like, internalizing some of the emotions that these people are going through. Mm-hmm. And that's what I noticed from watching that. Like, it's just like this kind of roller coaster of a person that is like, it's almost like you would think he would be free, but I don't even think that's, and I haven't watched the whole thing. So I would have a better take if I did, but it didn't seem like he could let his shoulders down. It was almost like he could let him down, but like a little bit, you know what I mean? Because it's still dealing with his family and all these other things and his friends and stuff like that. Because, so I think what it does also, it gives me more compassion for even my own family and stuff. Like even my cousins, and maybe that's part of it. Like I'm kind of overcompensating for them. I do tell like most of my family that I love them, but like I kind of do make sure to tell my gay cousins like, hey, I love you, man.
100%.
Like, you always got my support, no matter what whatever anybody thinks about you.
100%, man. Because it's like when you think about it, like I've got some cousins that are gay, and the thing about it is some of them feel outcasted. It's some people that will literally move to another state so they can be openly gay.
Yeah.
I got a cousin that moved across the country just so he could be gay.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. It's crazy because he got on there, and the only thing that's a little awkward is he be really posting a lot of gay shit on there. Yeah. Like, it'd be like, ooh, I just met this dude with a big old booty. You'd be like, nigga, you got your family on there? Damn. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, all right, man. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm gonna have to scroll through that one.
Yeah. It's interesting though, even the dynamic between like a woman having a homosexual experience and a man. There's a person that can listen to Drake's song, the Lil Baby and Drake song, like What Girls Love Girls or whatever. Mm-hmm. They'll listen to that. That'd be their anthem. Everyone having threesomes and stuff like that. But when it comes to a guy,
that's not
it's
gonna
like,
it can't be like guys like guys where I'm from.
That's wild.
Did Drake just come out to be headlines everywhere?
Who would imagine a girl remixing that.
Oh yeah, women are not into gay guys.
Not
Not at all.
yeah.
No. Ain't never been a woman like I just love gay.
Yeah.
Women ain't with that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
even women that have had like trains ran on them and had threesomes with dudes.
You really going for it today, aren't you?
What's what?
You said the trains running. You just went straight to the train.
Well, that's a thing. Like I'm sure we know women that have had.
But hold on a minute. If we want to be politically correct, right? It's considered a threesome still.
A train?
No, like a three. If it's two people, if it's three people.
That's what I mean. I'm delineating both of these, right? So if it's a threesome, it's a threesome. But if it's a train, it's generally like a guy has sex with her and then another
multiple
guy. Yeah, but it's consecutively more so than like at the same time. But what I'm saying is like a woman would be okay with that experience because it's still a heterosexual experience.
Oh.
But if the guys happen to start like kissing each other,
I'm sure women are listening like, I don't want no train. What is Keith talking about?
But it's real. I haven't made this up. I'm just saying that as far as like how we look at a threesome with two women versus like, you know, or like if a girl start kissing each other and that thing and guys start kissing, it'd be a whole different thing.
Women know there's an acceptance there. There's some women who will be conveniently gay. Mm-hmm. I love my best friend. And then they kiss each other on Snapchat. You'd be like, are you guys lesbians? No.
Some girls be only lesbian on Snapchat.
Yeah, like they'll be like licking their friend in the face. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, are you guys like together? Like, nah, we're just really friends. You'd be like, are you sure? What's going on here?
I love my best friend. You'd be eating her coochie too.
Why is that like the standard voice now?
Right.
Like, oh my God, like why?
I don't know.
That's like the standard California voice.
Yeah.
And it's not even a white girl thing. You know how many black girls I know that talk like that? Especially out of like LA?
Yeah, they got that kind of Valley girl accent.
Like, are we like gonna go to like Stater Brothers or like where are we going?
Yeah.
Are we going to Trader Joe's again?
Yeah.
I love avocado toast. Oh my! I'm so tired of taking that. No, people that's like privileged and rich got that same voice, and they will probably complain about like, I'm tired of taking the black Lamborghini. We can't ever get the red one. Oh my God!
Yeah.
You be like, girl, if you don't shut the fuck up,
I'll take any color Lamborghini.
Right. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. Shout out to Jerrod Carmichael, man.
The one joke he made, or that somebody in the audience made, is like about him hiding his name or something like that. He didn't even comment on it, which I found very interesting. He was talking about like hiding or something like that, and she was like, "What about your name?" or something. They said it like one of the audience members, and he didn't even comment on it, which I thought was interesting. But the name of the special is his first name, so he goes by his middle name, but his first name is Rothaniel or something like that. So. There's some like subtext to that as well. It's kind of like being like coming into like, you know, kind of presenting yourself as your authentic self.
But I think that spoke to the type of person in the audience. I think that when the people in the audience can match your intellect, that makes your comedy even better. Yeah. Like I feel like when I hear Andrew crack, when I'm listening to Andrew's podcast with his Flagrant 2. Shout out to Flagrant 2 podcast and Andrew Schultz and Alex and all those guys. But when I hear them having a joke and they'll crack a joke about like Paul Revere or they'll crack a joke about some historical figure and I start laughing, it's because I'm on the same intellect as them. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're stupid, you'll be like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
What is Watergate?
Yeah.
Yo, what is what is the Watergate scandal? What is that? You know? Mm-hmm. When they have these higher level conversations or they use these tones of comedy or conversations that can go right over most people's heads,
you kind of gravitate towards like the audience that you, I guess the type of energy you're on kind of predicts the type of people that would gravitate towards
100%.
Right? So like a guy like J. Cole, I would say a lot of his fan base is college graduates or people that are, you know, still in college now. You know, just kind of, you know, even on like a semi-negative side, like a guy like Lil Durk, I would imagine the majority of his people that like his music are like living a certain lifestyle, where they may be breaking the law every day. Right. So I say that to say, like, even, like you said, like with Jerrod Carmichael, he has kind of developed an audience for, it's probably very diverse, and people that, that are smart people, smart enough to kind of sit through his TV shows, smart enough to sit through his comedy and take everything in, and people that think for themselves too. And this probably, like, I think you could kind of create a certain I guess it's certain lifestyles too, right? Because that's a small, intimate show. It probably costs a certain amount of money to even be there.
Yeah.
So the person in there could be a business professional of some sort. They probably spent a few $100s on tickets, and they may work at whatever company or whatever. So yeah, that kind of speaks to that.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. I just think that I think at some point he probably was in the room with all these executives and all these people and all these different men that were like telling him shit like, man, I know you about to get some pussy tonight. Look at your face. Because as men and women, we have heterosexual conversations. Mm-hmm. So a woman could be amongst of other women and they'll be like, so have you guys slept together yet? Tell us the details. But no one's considering that she might be a lesbian. Mm-hmm. Same thing with men. Men will be like, so like, you gonna hook up? You ain't smashed yet? Like, these are real conversations that men and women have. Mm-hmm. So what if somebody's telling Jerrod Carmichael, like, so I seen you looking at that blonde girl earlier, man. I think she wants it, dude. I think she wants you, bro. And he's probably tired of putting on this mask that he has to constantly have on 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And he used his comedy special as a vessel. Mm-hmm. Or I'm trying to find the proper diction. Not a muse, but just like a vessel.
It's a medium.
The medium, mm-hmm. Exactly. So, but yeah. Shout out to Jerrod Carmichael, mm-hmm. And we will switch gears. Switching gears. Recently, a police officer choked out another police officer. And this is not good. Florida cop grabs female officer by the throat after she pulled him off of a suspect. A veteran Florida police officer is under investigation after he was caught on video grabbing a female cop by the throat when she tried to pull him away from a handcuffed suspect. So, Sunrise Police Sergeant, he's a police sergeant, which is scary. Christopher Police, Pullease. That's a funny last name. Like the police, but his last name is Police.
Let me use the restroom.
All right. No, you go ahead and you use the restroom, Keith. Okay? You toilet sexual? Christopher Police, 46, is accused of attacking a 28-year-old female officer who hasn't been named outside of a shop and save convenience store November 19th. The ordeal unfolded when police, the cop, and several other cops were arresting a man for aggravated battery after he had hit people outside the store. Body camera footage, which is only released last week, showed police walking up to the suspect as officers were struggling to get him into the police car. Police allegedly leaned into the car, pulled out his pepper spray, and aimed it at the suspect as he spoke to him. The female cop suddenly ran over and tugged on police belt in a bid to get him away from the suspect, the body cam video showed. Police whipped around, grabbed a hold of the officer's neck, and shoved her against another patrol car, according to the footage. Sunrise Police Chief Anthony Rosa described police behavior as disgusting. The chief released the video without any audio and refused to reveal what police had said to the victim or his fellow officer. Okay, now to follow up on this is what he said. Police, the officer that was choking out the female officer, he told the suspect, he leaned into the squad car where the suspect was in there, and he says, do you want me to remove your soul from your fucking body? There's a video of this. You can go to YouTube and find it. But he told the guy, I will remove your fucking soul from your body. And he was going crazy on the suspect. Obviously, the suspect had committed a crime. He's like, you want to disrespect my officers? But I feel there was like a personal element to it. But the craziest thing about it is the suspect happened to be black. And there's like a story, a very storied or a narrative that is existing in America with like black suspects and white cops. Now, if I'm a cop in general, whether I'm black or white, but especially if I'm white, I think that I would be aware of that situation and how bad it would look for me telling a black suspect that I want to remove his soul from his body, right? So the female officer did the right thing. As a thoughtful police officer, she grabbed the cop by his belt to pull him away from the suspect, and he turned around and choked her, and it's all on video. See, here's the thing. When I mentioned to people, I said we need the police, but we need good cops. People say we don't need the cops. We don't need, like, bro, we cannot patrol ourselves. We cannot police ourselves. When the pandemic happened, we couldn't even stop from buying all the fucking toilet paper. Okay, so we need some form of law and order, or everybody's gonna get their house broken into and shit. But that's neither here nor there. We need good cops. We don't need cops that are racially profiling. We don't need cops that are assaulting people. We don't need cops that are doing a fucked up job. We need more cops like this woman that wanted to pull away her fellow officer from doing something crazy to protect the officer and the suspect. See, she did her job. That's why I say we need good cops like her, not a fucking loose cannon that's choking out his own officer, who happened to be a woman, by the way, too. So that looks even worse. Not only are you assaulting your own officer, but you assaulting a woman too. And you telling a black man, you did the two worst things in one action. You threatened a black suspect's life, and then you turn around and choked a woman.
Yeah.
That's like, yo,
two minorities that people care a lot about.
Yeah,
apparently.
that's like the ultimate liberal situation. Like women, minorities, and you assaulted both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
You fucked up so royally, man.
The only thing he could have did worse is throw out some homophobic slurs.
The only thing he missed out was saying nigger. If he would have said that, that would have been like, what do you call that? What did Jay-Z call it?
Triple entendre.
Triple entendre. It would have been a triple entendre, man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's just it's a wild situation, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we always talk about. I told a story, a couple years ago, maybe, where I was at a light just a few blocks away from here, and it was like the streets were set up to where you yield to turn left, basically. Like, you can cross traffic. There's no actual turn signal, but you can pull out and turn left when the traffic is safe or whatever. And I don't remember exactly the scenario, but what I do remember is there was a situation where the light had barely turned green, and it wasn't like I was on my phone or nothing. I'm literally looking at the light, right? So I look at the light in maybe a second, like it might have been 1,000, 2,000, and then I started to put my foot on the pedal. But within that time frame, the police was just like, the officer was just like, oh, like basically saying like, yo, hurry up and drive type of thing. And it kind of like made me aware of the lack of emotional intelligence that a lot of police officers have.
Lack of patience.
Yeah, lack of patience too. So when I see this thing, you see how loose a lot of these police officers are. They're walking around with the same temperament as a Will Smith. You know what I mean? Like they can't control their emotions. For you to not only say that to a black man, but to turn around and not only choke a woman, but a person that you work with.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just looks so crazy, and you just see the rate. And he's also like a bigger dude. I could imagine there's some, it might be some steroids involved.
Who knows?
He looks like a person that may have cycled off of it a little bit, like a bigger kind of husky guy. But that's the thing that I see the most, like this, just the lack of emotional intelligence. And I think that there should be something implemented for police officers, like some sort of mandatory therapy. You know what I mean? Because these people are seeing a lot of stuff, and the rage that the woman received was just a byproduct of him not being all there. You know what I mean? I don't think she did anything wrong in that situation. No. And he probably is appreciative of her in hindsight. But, it's just so many police officers, they're seeing so many things, they're hearing so many things. There's just a lot, I would imagine, going on in their mind. And I think that a lot of that just goes unchecked.
I can't make. I'm not saying you're making any excuses for him, but I can't make any excuses for him because a woman in that moment was able to have enough emotional intelligence and to pull him away from a situation that he was making worse.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll say this too. This is what no one talks about. Like, imagine this. Imagine what's going on in his personal life that he could be projecting in his job. Certain things that you do in your personal life can bleed into your profession. It could bleed into your relationships. It could bleed into all those things. Mm-hmm. So imagine you're a cop. You come home after a 15-hour shift and you bust your wife sucking some dude's cock. And you're like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Now you got to go to work the next day and you're still dealing with this rage in this moment and you're dealing with these real life things. But you're not dealing with them like me or Keith. You actually have a gun and a badge, and you're a cop, and you're dealing with people. So what happens is you're not mad at this dude because he did some shit at the store. You're mad because you busted your wife giving a blowjob, and you're going to take this dude's life because you can't control yourself. And that's what a lot of cops go through, and no one talks about it, is the fact that when you can't manage your life, it will eventually bleed into your job. And here's another thing. I think that there's some people that were trying to absolve this cop saying we don't know what cops go through and it's a tough job. Then get another fucking job, motherfucker. Nobody's begging you to be a cop. The cop that pulled you away from the situation's a better cop than you. Mm-hmm. You happen to be how did you become a sergeant while literally threatening to kill somebody and then choking out your fellow officer? How did you even get that high to be a sergeant? Think about, okay, this is the thing that's crazy. Before the onslaught of social media, imagine how many cops got away with this behavior because there were no cameras. There were no body cameras. There were no actual camera phones. So they was doing old school policing. Here, nigga, shut up. Come over here. Mm-hmm. You know how many racist encounters I've dealt with on my own? Me and you was together and we got racially profiled.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to believe it. Like when you even say the word racism or if you say the word racism or you say racial profiling, there are so many people that abuse this narrative that it's taken the air out of the conversation. Mm-hmm. But when you've literally been in the middle of it, due to people not being able to see the world through your lenses, they're going to be like, oh God, here they go with the racism talk again. Oh God. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But you got to understand, racists can be cops too. Mm-hmm. Racists can be librarians.
Yeah.
They could, who you are as a person is not going to stop you from getting a job. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, but let's reel it all in here. I don't want to be babbling too much. In this specific situation, you've seen a person that doesn't have the temperament to be a cop. Because you got to realize something. When you take on a job like truck driver, police officer, fireman, shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. This is not McDonald's. You cannot burn a batch of fries and just go make a new batch. You're dealing with people's lives. Mm-hmm. So when you pull a trigger on somebody or you literally tell them, I will remove your fucking soul from your body, there's intention behind that. He was about to pepper spray a dude that was already in the back of a squad car. Mm-hmm. She was trying to help him avoid a fucking lawsuit. And he still was doing
prison
this.
Time.
In prison. Bro, honestly, that cop needs to be in prison. That's the only place this motherfucker should be. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many cops right here in Bakersfield, have been busted on drug busts and BPD? Mm-hmm. It was one dude recently, the cop, I think he was part owner of a CrossFit gym. This is recent, within the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. This motherfucker was stealing police evidence and selling drugs. Mm-hmm. And I think he ended up getting probation. Bro, my uncle did 13 years in prison for selling drugs. Why don't you give this cop the same time?
Your uncle should have been a cop.
Huh?
So your uncle should have been a cop.
He might as well have been a cop so he could sell dope. But let's be clear. This is not a blanket statement on cops. It's cops that come and do their job, clock out, and go home to their families.
Yeah.
They not into none of this activity with none of this bullshit. But I applaud that female officer based on the fact that she was policing the police, bro. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
Yeah. I think going back to that idea of like emotional intelligence and stuff like that, and how a police officers, it could be their actual job, or it could be their personal life kind of leaking into their job,
right?
Or vice versa. I know after the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock situation, I had a doctor's appointment, and I went to the doctor's office, and what I started to realize, I was consuming all of this conversation about Chris Rock and Will Smith, and then also I'm internalizing it because I'm like, yo, I feel very bad for Chris Rock. Right. I'm also kind of angry at Will Smith in a sense. I'm internalizing it like I'm like really connected to these people, right? And I'm only just a fan of these people, and then on top of the Twitter timeline, right?
Yeah.
So I'm standing, or I go to the doctor's office, and I'm standing outside of this door, and I call the doctor's office, and I'm like, hey, the door is like, something's going on. Like, I don't see how I can get in here. The door is locked. So I call them, and the initial time I didn't really get through, and then the phone just hung up. So I called back, and I try it again. It's still locked or whatever. I call back, and then I'm trying to get through, and they're like, hey, let me put you on hold for a second. Let me see what's going on. And a security guard came up, and I had my earbuds in, and he was like, hey, can I help you with something? And I'm like, I'm on the phone. And then he's like, yeah, I seen you trying to open the door. Like, are you trying to like get in? And I was like, yeah, I have an appointment here, but the door is locked. And he was like, oh, you gotta, it's on the other side. They moved the office from over here, over there. And I was like, oh, okay, I appreciate it. But in the moment, what I was really thinking is, nigga, why are you coming up and talking to me? Like, I'm trying to do something. I'm not breaking no law or anything. Right. But like, I was getting a little bit snappy with him because I felt like he was profiling me and all this stuff. But what I realized is that what he did was very innocent, and on a normal day, I would have just been like, hey, yeah, I'm just trying to get over here, and the door seems to be locked. And he would have been like, oh, go over there. But in that moment, I'm like internalizing all this conversation, the slap and all this, and I'm just getting real like kind of snappy with him. And that's just a byproduct of what was going on and the emotions I was having towards that whole thing. And even so much so when I got in there, and part of it may be like the other side of it, like when I got in there, the lady was telling me that I was late. She was like, you're late, right? And I was like, well, I was down there, and no one answered the phone, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, well, I'm just letting you know because like, it may push your appointment back. And I was getting kind of like snappy with her too, because I almost maybe internalized that as her trying to take, not really take advantage of me, but like, just kind of looking at me, or the tone that she was saying it, I didn't necessarily like. But I say all that to say like, that's the type of, that's human nature, right? And that's the type of things that police officers are also dealing with. And if you can't recognize it as quickly as I was able to recognize it, or, if you're going out and you have these deadly weapons on you, or if you're going out and you're a police officer that has somebody in a vulnerable position, which may be, handcuffs, whatever the case may be. You may have, like you said, like a gun on you or a baton or whatever the case may be. And, if you don't got your emotions in check, you will very well just use that on an innocent person. So, yeah, it's unfortunate.
I think this is true whether it's for relationships or for a job such as being a police officer. There's only so much therapy or training that you can do. I feel like you have to have life skills that equipped you for a job like that. I really do. I really think if you're not equipped to be a cop, you will not be a good one. I think if you're a person that doesn't have control of your life and you become a cop, it will not end good for you.
Yeah.
I think I'm talking about who you are as a person needs to be able to perform that job. I think that there is no amount of training that will prepare you for the shit that you're going to see in that job. Mm-hmm. They could train you and say, this happens, this happens, this happens. There was a video, a shootout popped off, and a cop had a panic attack. Did you see it? Mm-mm. A dude was just shooting back in the police, and the cop got out of the car, and he just had a panic. He said, he fucking freaked out. All that training he did, and he just fucking was, and then the other cop had to be like, hey, snap out of it. Snap out of it. What are you doing? Come on. We got to get it. We got to snap out of it. And the dude had a fucking meltdown, right? And there's some other cops that's looking forward to that. They was like, I wish you would try something. I'll blow your head off. There was a video of, it was a stop, and the cop was like, what are you guys doing there? And he had his gun drawn on the cops, but the cop didn't know that the dude in the back seat had his phone. And the cop had the gun. He says, say one word, I'll blow your fucking head off. And he was like, oh my God, officer, I don't know what's going on. And it was some scared teenagers that happened to be black. And you got a gun drawn on them telling you would blow their head off without no context. Mm-hmm. It was no real police stop. It wasn't you missed a light back there or you didn't use your left or right signal. He just came with his gun out. Mm-hmm. Right? And to the people that are super police supporters, they'll be like, well, we don't know all the details. And there's no reason for you to tell somebody you will remove their soul from their body. Yeah. There's no type of way that you can dismiss that. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make no sense. That's just as ridiculous as the people that's trying to absolve Will from slapping Chris Rock. Mm-hmm. Like they're like advocating for violence in that moment because it fits their narrative. Mm-hmm. It's just like with a cop pulling a gun out or telling somebody some shit like this. You can't support that. Mm-hmm. We need more people to have objective stances. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to beat this over the head, but what I will say is this. Like I've said before, that bad apple conversation needs to stop. And it's not to say that cops are bad or good. It's to say that they are 100% human. Mm-hmm. I've said this a million times. So the fact that we try to, whenever a cop do something crazy, we like to say, well, that's not all cops. Or that's not all cops. Or that's not all cops. I know it's not all cops, but it's enough of these motherfuckers that's doing this shit.
Yeah.
It needs to stop. Mm-hmm. Period. There cannot be bad cops. The reason why is because they do a very serious job. And in this case where a cop was doing a good job at policing, she got choked out for being a good, decent human being. Yeah. You can still do your job and be a firm police officer and say, hey, we're not playing that game. Sit back in there and be quiet. Close the door on them. Move on about your business. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you screaming at somebody,
that's the wildest video.
That's fucking wild, bro. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. It's just like, what was that video with a dude that got shot with his girl and his daughter in the backseat? What's his name?
I forgot. I don't know.
God damn it.
Knowing the names.
But the dude shot him and his arm was like this. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And when he shot him, he's like, don't move. He said, I have my license. He wasn't even moving fast or nothing. And he was like, and it's like, bro, these are the type of motherfuckers that shouldn't be cops.
Yeah.
He shot the dude in cold blood. He said, yeah, actually, I do have a weapon. I do have a gun, but I have a license for it and everything. He was honest about him having a gun. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he says, yeah, I do have a gun, but I'm legally carrying or whatever. Mm-hmm. The dude just shot him.
Yeah.
And it's like, bruh.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't tell anybody how to police or whatnot, but goddamn, you just not built for it, homie.
Yeah. I think like, one of my physics professors, he was basically telling us in class, he was like, getting the wrong answer on one of these tests in the real world is the difference between a spaceship landing on Mars and a spaceship blowing up in Earth's atmosphere. You know
that was a great analogy.
So like in terms of engineers and stuff like that, they don't have room for error. You know, everything has to be extremely fine. They got to be very detailed, double checking everything. Right. but we don't take the same care and concern when it comes to like policing and training.
I'll tell you what, I would liken it to a truck driver that falls asleep behind the wheel. Mm-hmm. If you're not equipped to do that job and you don't take enough consideration for the fact that you need adequate sleep to do that job, and you fall asleep behind the wheel of this death machine, a truck can turn into a death machine if it's not operated properly. That can kill multiple people. If you don't take into consideration that you need adequate sleep and you sleep behind a wheel and you kill 15 people, you do a certain job that requires a lot of, how do I say, like expertise. Like you mentioned, it could be the difference between a spaceship landing and one blowing up in the air. Now, when you take on those type of jobs, you have to understand the amount of seriousness involved. Don't become a truck driver or fuel hauler or whatever without realize. Don't try to be a flatbedder. There are dudes that haul flatbed that don't tie down properly. That load could fly off on the freeway and kill 15 people. If you got steel beams, you're going to have beams flying all over the road, killing innocent people because you aren't equipped for the job. Either you don't know what the fuck you was doing, or you didn't double check, you didn't triple check, whatever the case. You didn't get enough sleep. But when you a cop and you got shit going on in your life and look, the best thing you could do is, if you know you're not mentally right, is go in there and say, man, this is what happened to me. I busted my wife cheating on me.
Yeah.
Or so-and-so died in my family, or whatever is going on. I need time to myself. I need to go home. I cannot do this today.
Yeah.
That could be the difference between you blowing somebody's head off and you actually going to play some pool with your friends and blow off some steam and have a beer, or have a conversation with your therapist, or talk it over with your wife. Yeah. Whatever it is, you better do it before you end up like this cop, because they don't look good for him. This does not look good.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've learned like the past year or so is like the lack of concern or care or immediate concern that we have for our mental health is very detrimental.
Oh,
you know, it could lead to
Will Smith,
you losing your job, you slapping someone on national TV and losing out on, different films and different opportunities.
Yeah.
It could be the life and death of a relationship,
100%,
of a friendship, all these things. Like when we don't take the time and care to really like show real concern for our mental health and actually do actionable things for our mental health.
Right.
It's not a good thing.
I'll even add more to that and say that moments of impulse are not just moments of impulse. There is a snowball effect. There has been something that has been snowballing, and the issue has gotten bigger and bigger until the action was like impulsive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Kind of like with the Will Smith shit. Or like I mentioned earlier, I don't like to keep mentioning, the cop coming home and busting his wife giving a BJ, but those things can spiral out of control if you don't do a good enough job managing those things. But yeah, I think we could close this conversation, and I think we need to give a shout out to that female officer that did a good job. We need cops like that. We need cops that want to protect the community. And in that moment, she was trying to do a triple job. She wanted to protect the suspect and the cop. She was just doing her job, and she ended up getting choked for that.
That's so crazy.
I hope she doesn't quit. I'll tell you that much. I hope she doesn't quit her job, because that's one less good cop on the force. But there's that. Switching gears. New NFL hiring requirements. Me and Keith were talking about this earlier, but I will read it in specific from the article. Okay. It states the league's Rooney Rule. Now it says the league's Rooney Rule, adopted in 2003, has required teams to interview minority candidates for head coaching and other senior positions. Now, for the first time, the NFL says teams have to actually hire, in quote, a female or member of an ethnic or racial minority as an offensive assistant coach in 2022. Here's the problem I have with this. The problem I have with this is I don't want a hire of a female or a minority to be forced into place. I don't believe in that. I think that you should want the best candidate. I think this has somewhat of a participation trophy element to it, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I love coaches that happen to be black, like Mike Tomlin, who has never had a losing season. I like different, like Todd Bowles and other coaches that happen to be black, but they're very qualified and very good at what they do. What I don't want to happen is people who are not qualified to be in positions because it will not justify why they're there in the first place. Mm-hmm. If you just, and the thing about it too, I have no problem with women being involved with football at all, especially if they know the game. There's a bunch of women on ESPN that talk football, but they know what the fuck they talking about. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that. My issue comes in where if you're an offensive assistant or you're a coach or whatever, or you're a position coach, if you know the game and you know all the nuances of the game, you deserve to be a part of it. I don't give a fuck if you woman, whatever.
Yeah.
But please do not hire underqualified women or minorities. That's not going to look good. And I really hope that they don't do that. And I really hope that they don't pass out coaching jobs like Halloween candy. Because that's not what we need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We actually need women who are the best. Like somebody was saying, like, what if they had a woman kicker in the NFL? And I was like, that would be dope. But she better be good, though. You don't just want a woman kicker in the NFL just because she's a woman.
Yeah.
Because there was a woman kicker that played in college football, was it like a year or two ago?
They come every so often. There was one at Vanderbilt a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She just wasn't that great.
I mean, it's a difference in skill and power, you know? It just comes with the biology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, so when people say, like, you know, we can do anything a man can do, I disagree, because we can't do everything a woman can do.
Yeah.
There are things that women are just way better than men at.
Yeah.
There are just things that women are just way better than men at, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Or our bodies will allow us to do certain things. When it comes to being organized and literally creating certain spaces for productivity, men just cannot do what women can do. Mm-hmm. When it comes to certain things such as that involve strength or certain stuff like that, like women just can't do that. Mm-hmm. It's just how it is. But mm-hmm. I don't want to get all off track. I don't like the environment that it could create. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I think for me, and not in like I guess I don't want to come off as sexist, but the only issue I have with, and maybe it is sexist, but the only issue I have is the segment where you have to hire a woman, right?
Like you have to,
yeah,
or a minority.
I don't have a problem with minority, but mm-hmm. Just the women part. The minority thing is fine with me because one, these are like assistant roles, and I think that it's football. There's such a high turnover rate of coaches anyways, right? Shout out to Asani Rufus also. He just got hired on the 49ers staff.
My favorite team and my high school all in one.
He went to BHS, went to
Rufus,
Nevada.
Man.
Yeah, he's a legend out here in these streets. But I think that when it comes to hiring like minorities and stuff like that, I think that implementing that idea is important because when you have so much power as an organization and when you're owned by, majority white owners and stuff like that, it may not even be racist. It may just be like not literal nepotism, but like ethnicism or something like that, where it's like when you just see two candidates and one is named DeAndre and the other one is named like Steven or something like that, you might just inherently go with the guy. So I can understand the idea of like hiring minorities, but I think the women one is a part, and they're clumped together, so I can't really say. But I think that when you think about adding that clause in there where it has to be a woman on your staff,
that's like really pushing
the problem that it breeds is like, one, women don't like grow up playing football.
That's a good point,
right? You know, it's a sport where if a woman is probably on the staff, she probably just loved football so much and studied it, watched it, and kind of came into it from a coaching standpoint.
Right.
I could imagine she didn't grow up playing defensive lineman in high school or, you know, in junior high playing, you know, cornerback or something like that. Oftentimes when we do see women, and there was one on, you know, I don't think not on your team, but on my brother's team, and then also on my team, ironically, they were siblings. They're kickers. You know what I mean? So they're not even in the offensive, defensive meetings. You know what I mean? I just think for like one time Floyd Mayweather mentioned, he was like, you know, just basically, he was kind of like roasting some of the other trainers out here in boxing and stuff. And he was like, I can't really speak on anybody else as a boxer, but for me, I want a trainer that has been in the trenches. I want a trainer that has, you know, been in there and done 12 rounds, and they know exactly the type of gems, the type of advice that they could share with me is going to be a lot different if they've been in that square circle. So I would imagine, you know, if you're a football player and you have to hire a woman on your staff, and you're trying to get certain technique advice, whatever the case may be, from a person, you would want it to be like a guy like Asani, when he's on the Niners staff, and I think he's coaching DBs. He knows through and through.
Yeah.
He knows, you know, when it comes to, he knows how to tackle. He knows different footwork. He knows schemes and stuff like that. So I think like the women can grasp the intellectual part because they're not inferior intellectually.
100%.
But as far as like, you know, technique wise, tackling wise, you know, Asani is going to be able to give a completely different perspective than a woman that has like the book information about
100%.
This thing. So I think that's just like the danger of the NFL trying to be like super progressive all of a sudden. And it seems like exponentially now, right?
Yeah, it's. I feel like it. I won't say it's snowballed, but I feel like there's almost like a residual effect from the Colin Kaepernick situation.
Yeah.
How after that, like the NFL all of a sudden became more progressive.
Yeah.
Right. All of a sudden you start seeing in the end zone, like it takes all of us and end racism and all this shit out of nowhere when there was no form of there was no talks of race or politics really in sports. And then after that, you start seeing that. And now you're saying, oh, we need to hire a female. And it's like, only thing is this. Almost every guy or every man that is a coach has these qualifications because they grew up playing the sport. My thing is I would really just expect, and we want to talk about equality now, not like sexism or anything. From an equality standpoint, if a woman has special information, meaning maybe she grew up playing Australian rules football, where she has she's tackled a lot of people. She has a lot of information about tackling, and somehow when she's in America, she learned the game of football, and she's like went through this master class. She knows what she's talking about. She knows techniques. She's personal. The 49ers had a female coach when they went to the Super Bowl, Kate Sowers. She's a really good coach. And I'm not sure what she's with now. I still follow her though. Kate Sowers was a good coach. But you have to have the same information a man does.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. My thing is I want women to be successful in the NFL. That's the stance I'm coming from. I want them to be successful in the NFL, but I don't want them to be given a participation trophy. I want them to really do their thing.
Yeah.
And as far as the NBA, I don't think there's any excuse why there shouldn't have been a female head coach in the NBA. It should have been done. You know how many women could dribble a basketball and shoot on an elite level who are professional basketball players? Who was the one recently? Hammond from the Spurs. I think she took a coaching job recently as a women's head coach in college basketball.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she should have been the fucking, once Popovich left the Spurs, that should have been her job, dog. She should have been the head coach of the Spurs once Greg Popovich retires.
But I mean, I will say even with that, as far as not giving a participation trophy, who knows? Like, did she get a head coaching position when Popovich got sick?
She was the head coach when he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's tough just because it's so many, and it's only 32 teams, so it's hard to say like who should be what head coach when. Even a guy like Mark Jackson has not gotten another head coaching opportunity.
Here's the thing with Kate Sowers right here. After an amazing trip to Augusta with Mercedes-Benz celebrating amazing women leading the way in the fields, I felt it was only fitting to look back at one of my favorite career moments on the football field. The moment Ottawa Braves women's flag football team. Well, this is the flag football team, but they have a women's football team actually, where they actually wear pads.
That's cool.
They need to start letting women play football. I think that there needs to be a women's football league. There are a lot of good athletes that are shot putters and all kinds of shit that could be really good athletes.
That would be crazy watching women's football.
And I told you about this before. Seeing that whole lingerie league that they had years ago, you know what I'm talking about? Where these women had their asses and titties all out, and I didn't like that. Even though the titties and the ass look good, I don't want to objectify.
Shout out to titties and ass.
Shout out to that. But I don't want to objectify women trying to play a sport. I thought that was fucked up. Put some real pads and clothes on these women and let them play the game. Stop having women out there like a fucking circus act. I'm not with that.
Yeah.
And there was one girl that made a tackle, and then like her pants went all on her booty like a G-string and stuff. And then everybody was like, woo. It's like, bro, you whistling and catcalling and shit while it's just too much. It's almost like me trying to eat a meal at Hooters. I don't like Hooters. I don't like Hooters because I don't want to be looking at titties and ass when I'm eating chicken wings. Yeah. It's like you're blending. It's just a weird spot for me. I don't like strip clubs either. I'm not with the strip clubs and spending my money on naked women, right? I'm not trying to conflate all these things. All I'm saying is in certain spaces, women deserve to be looked at as a professional athlete only. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when it comes to like that lingerie league shit, at least, this is what I say. This is a good one. If you had a pipeline of women who played
Mario?
Huh?
Did you hear that?
What?
It was like the Mario theme song that was playing outside.
I don't know, man. There's always some shit going on down there. There was a motherfucker yelling earlier. We both heard it.
Yeah.
He's like, get out of my fucking way. I'm like, dog, I hope he's talking to a person.
Jerrod Carmichael is gay. Like, what?
I seen that sex tape from Jada Pinkett. Oh, man. I'm going to shout from the rooftops. Like, dude, if you don't shut the fuck up, we're trying to do a podcast. No, but I think if there was a pipeline of women who played arena-style football and, wore full gear and all of that, and they played corner and defensive line and all these things, I think it would create a pipeline of women who could become coaches because they would be immersed in the culture and the game, and as long as they play the game, they have a real understanding for it. They understand what a 3 technique is. They be like, hey, I need you to line up here. I need you to do this. And then the players actually could watch their coach's game film. Like, it don't matter if a woman or a man is doing it. Like when it comes down to, even with basketball, like women in the WNBA do things at an elite level just like a man, not at like athleticism wise. There's a disparity there because men are stronger, we have more muscle mass and all kinds of shit. But when it comes to the fundamentals, women right there with the dudes. When it comes to moving the ball, dribbling, all those things.
I seen somebody do a crazy dunk the other day. She was like 6'2".
Whoa! Oh, wait! I don't think it was on a fast break.
No, I wasn't in the game. It was like she was in high school, maybe.
Bro, I seen one in the game a couple weeks. Is it the WNBA? No, it was in college. My bad.
Maybe,
This is probably like 2 weeks ago. It was on a fast break. Ball got loose. I think she was only like 6'2". I only think she was 6'3". She got long
crazy,
arms
bro.
though. She jumped up and she slammed the fuck out the ball. I was like, yo,
These women getting athletic.
these women starting to really.
They should. We just got to be patient with the WNBA.
Yeah, we got.
Because if they start dunking and like that, I think
they already been doing that though, homie. They was doing that back in '97.
it was a couple of them. Like
Lisa Leslie.
She wasn't dunking regularly. It wasn't like she was yamming every play.
Yeah, but she was dunking though.
She was dunking very rarely.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, LeBron James could dunk 5 times in a game.
Right.
If women start dunking like it's a thing, they throwing lobs and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
I don't even think it's going to need any sort of integration. I think people will start gravitating towards women basketball, like, you know, watching it on the same frequency as we're watching the NBA.
Bro, it was sad to me is, bro, when the WNBA started in '97, it was fucking huge. And it was so entertaining to watch. Like I remember, literally, I remember all not just the household names, all the players, like the Sparks. They had Mabika and freaking Lisa Leslie, and then the Houston Comets had Tina Thompson and Cheryl Swoops. And,
Yeah,
and fucking, huh?
I think
Cynthia
I
Cooper?
knew like when I was a kid, I would remember books with like Cheryl Swoops in there. They would have
Yeah.
little, books in my elementary school, books
Yeah.
with Lisa Leslie on the cover and stuff
Yeah.
like that. They were in magazines and stuff. I think it really boils. It's the at the end of the day, the NBA is a business, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we are making it more complicated than it really is. If you look at any sort of like documentaries, or if you look at any sort of like, they have this show about the Lakers and Magic Johnson and stuff like that. Before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird got into the NBA was failing. And
Yeah, that's true.
when Dr. Buss bought and this is the way they put it in the show, like when he bought the Lakers, he just had a vision. He knew that Magic Johnson was like a tall point guard, and he knew without a shadow of a doubt that he needed Magic Johnson on the Lakers. And he had this idea of like making the Forum like this attraction and all these different things. Like he just had a vision. I think that's all the WNBA really needs. It's not a basketball disparity, even though they're not as like athletic as the men. It's just marketing at the end of the day. And I think like people are looking at it as in a way where it's like, well, we need to support this or support that. It's like, if you have any business, it's not, hey, even with our podcast, it's not, hey, we have a podcast, go listen to it. It's like, we have put quality, we put, cameras, we market it a certain way, we put out clips, we have YouTube. We're just kind of spreading ourselves around and, just kind of using our money, to invest in ourselves in
100%.
in different ways. We've traveled places to interview people. We've experienced things to talk about.
I see what you're getting at.
And that's how our podcast has grown. You can't market anything by saying, hey, come over here because that's what you're supposed to do. So they're doing it like, hey, we're just as skilled as the NBA players. It's like, no, you got to come up with market your league around great players.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, and attractive people as well. Like, I don't know how good Ted Cooper.
I think the Sparks are doing it right now.
Yeah, that's as much as you would want to be looked at as like just, skilled basketball players. It's like, Steph Curry is partly popular because he's an attractive guy, and also that he's really good at basketball. So
marketable.
Yeah, that's all it really takes. And I think that, people are trying to have this like sexism aspect to it and all these different things.
It's happening in the male league and the female league.
What's that?
Like just the marketing aspect of it. Like you mentioned Steph Curry. But this is also can be done very easily. I think the Sparks are doing it better than anybody because Ted Cooper is sexy, man.
Ted Cooper.
I'm not trying to objectify her, but just look up Ted Cooper. You'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah. And they're also marketing themselves as kind of like not like sexually, but they know that they be posting pictures outside of basketball.
Yeah, not just her. Now they got Liz Cambage, and Liz is a giant. Like she's 6'8", but she is very beautiful, very tall.
Yeah, she know what she's doing.
She know what she's doing too. She got her OnlyFans. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
She has her OnlyFans.
Where's she
But she mentioned that like there's nothing dramatically different from what I posted on my OnlyFans. She was talking about that with Serge Ibaka. But yeah, I think that you make your team very marketable when you got Liz Cambage, who's very sexually attractive. You got Taya Cooper, she's very sexually attractive. They got another girl there that's fine too. So it's like they got a couple of girls that could really play the game, but they happen to be really hot. I told Keith before the pandemic happened that we need to go to some Sparks games. So I think this will be the year that we definitely go up there and check out some games, man.
Yeah, that'll be dope. That'll be a dope experience.
That'll be a dope experience, man. Get up there and get some. I want. You know what? I'm not gonna say we need to give some male representation because, truth be told, a lot of men be really watching WNBA. There needs to be more women supporting the league. Honestly, even freaking Stephen A. Smith said that.
Yeah.
That the WNBA needs more female support. There is a dramatic number of women who rather watch Basketball Wives than actual basketball women playing professional basketball players who happen to be women.
Well, I think women, it's hard because I think women, I think just sports in general are dominated by men, right?
Right.
Even if you look at college campuses, there are oftentimes like a male sport that doesn't have a female comparable sport. You know what I mean? They change the rules a little bit, but I say that to say like the average, and I don't know what percentage it is, but the average basketball fan is probably like a man. There's some the casual like woman that watches basketball knows LeBron James and maybe Steph Curry, right? And they probably know Steph Curry for his relationship as well, and just because he's kind of the light-skinned, kid that's like shoots the ball really good.
Right.
So it's kind of like, as far as the women's support goes, I think that's true only if these are like diehard basketball fans. Like the casual fan, they're not even watching male basketball enough to really even know the nuances. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't know the sixth man on the Lakers rotation, or you know what I mean? They may not really know who Trae Young is from anybody. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like us as people that kind of want to see the WNBA elevated, is we just got to pop up.
And the thing about it too is like I grew up watching women's basketball, and I think what really I won't say immersed me in it was that my sister played varsity basketball for 4 years. So I used to go to some of her practices because my sister's 3 years older than me, so I'm talking about 6th, 7th grade, right in there. Even before, I'm going to her practices and watching them practice hard. They moving the ball. It's just basketball. At the end of the day, I've seen a lot of very competitive women's basketball coming up, And then when the WNBA popped off, I was a huge fan of it. I was a Laker fan, so I'm naturally a Sparks fan. And it was 1 year that the Sparks and the Lakers won the same year. So it was dope that my two favorite teams had won. But, over the years, I got a little more disconnected from women's basketball. One, social media came and really started fucking it up. Like, it was a lot of people cracking jokes, and then it started to become a running joke, and then the marketing was kind of starting to get fucked up. So it's like, in order for women's basketball to bounce back, there's going to be some things that need to be done. For one, we're going to need some more stars out of the WNBA. And then now we're losing Candace Parker in the whole league. She just retired, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Candace Parker just announced her retirement. She's another one that was dunking too. So.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I don't want women to just be doing these regular little, the dunk, like these weak dunks. I want that one girl I seen 2 weeks ago. She threw that motherfucker down. Like she threw it down like a legit dunk. She
wasn't
even
kind of like I'm tall enough to do
it. She jumped far too, dog. Like she jumped far and threw that bitch down. Like she dunked the fuck out that ball.
But even like the most exciting, probably when it comes to excitement in the NBA, the probably two most exciting players to watch is probably like Kyrie and Steph. So I think like I don't know if there's a WNBA comparable to those guys. Obviously, these are like once in a generation players. So I don't even expect like there to be one in the NBA now. But I think when that person does come, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, but you got to like, they need to be on every commercial, everything, because that's like, those are the players that make us turn on our TV. Like, Kyrie, just the other day, he had like 65 points or 68 points or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And it made people turn the TV on. Like, oh, snap, he going crazy. Yeah, so it's going to take, like you said, it just takes superstars, man. That's the only way to get us to get excited. But I will say, even like with NBA, I'm not watching it as frequently as I used to.
Right.
Just because the regular season, after you watch so many regular season games, you'd be like, bro, it's the same thing every year. But when the playoffs start, that's when it kind of gets more exciting.
Yeah, because then you're seeing all the best players being showcased.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Let me see what team. I'm trying to remember her name. She's from, where is she from? I think she's from New York. She plays for the New York Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
She just got drafted last year. Fuck. She played at Oregon, the one that was pretty close with Kobe.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That was another girl that just she was in the playoffs, the women's basketball playoffs. She was super young when she was playing with Kobe and stuff, but now she's in college.
Oh really?
Yeah, they asked her about it.
Here it is. Sabrina Ionescu.
Uh-huh.
She got a game, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sabrina Ionescu is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's gonna end up being the face of the league, which is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a rookie or what?
She was a rookie last year.
Okay.
Yeah, but this year it'll be her second year. She coming off an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, hold on. It was her second year last year, actually.
Okay.
It was her second year last year. So it'll be her third season because she got hurt. So we're gonna see how that's gonna go. Yep. But I don't got much, man. I think we made it to the end of this thing, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you made it to the end of this episode, man, we appreciate you. Thank you for listening to a Trucker's Mind podcast. I'm Eddie McGee.
It's your boy K Things.
We're out of here.
Peace.